The following is a presentation of NBC Sports, proud to have brought you 60 years of Major League Baseball.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. That I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for.
My main ambition was to get along well enough with who I was playing with so that they would realize that there wasn't any friction because I was culinary white. I mean, we could play together. I think that was my main ambition, was to break down that barrier, not so much for me to go to the major leagues. I just wanted somebody to take a go. I didn't care who it was.
Racket throws. There's a long back. I say me, I believe. The Giants won the pennant. The Giants won the pennant. The Giants won the pennant.
Yeah, I knew it was gone all the way. All I kept saying was sink, sink, sink. All I remember is seeing Paff go up against the wall, and then I was walking to the clubhouse. All I kept saying was, why me, why me? Why did it have to be me?
On this sad day, I would like to address my thoughts to baseball fans everywhere. I am confident no one wants to strike, not the players, not the owners, and certainly not the fans. Yet we have one.
There's a drive into left field. That ball is going, and out of here. Henry Aaron has just tied Babe Ruth in the all-time home run parade.
You gotta start from way down the bottom when you're 6 or 7 years of age. You gotta let it grow up with you. And if you're successful and you try hard enough, you're bound to come out on top. Just like these boys that come to the top now.
Telecommunications simply means making a connection. Me to you, A to B. When that meant creating a communications network 22,000 miles above the Earth, they called Contel. When it meant a 16-phone system at the Omaha headquarters of Vic's Corn Popper, they called Contel. Small business, a tall order. Contel can help you communicate better, too. For Contel, I'm Charlton Heston.
Do me a favor. Don't cheer me up.
James, you lost an arm. That's not the end.
I lost my work. I'm a liability.
You're not going to settle for that.
James was my best driver. She said he's still your best driver. I don't know how you're going to do this. Eleanor, she works for Aetna. Aetna carries our insurance. Company with people like that woman's got something going for it, I tell you.
Hey, Aetna.
I'm glad I met you. Old rule of mine. You work with the best in the business.
You sure it's not out of your way?
There's nowhere out of my way. Like you went for me.
Welcome to the 1986 World Series. The Red Sox and Mets arrive here on the wings of remarkable playoff victories. Their triumphs over the Angels and Astros were unforgettable baseball theater. And now the final drama in 7 acts or less. Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Costas, and this will have the feel of a true fall classic. Game time temperature 50 degrees. It'll be in the mid-40s by game's end. The pitchers for the Red Sox, 28-year-old left-hander Bruce Hurst. For the Mets, the 26-year-old Yaley right-hander Ron Darling. Now, Hurst, is interesting to note, actually struck out more per inning pitched this year than his teammate Roger Clemens. Here's a guy who had an ERA under 3, despite being a left-hander pitching at Fenway Park in a DH league. As for Darling, he was 15-6, but he had 13 no decisions, and his team won 11 of those games, so he almost always pitched well enough to give his team a chance to win. Now, as for the lineup maneuvers, Davey Johnson will stick with the hot-hitting Lenny Dykstra in center field, left-handed batter against a left-handed pitcher. Kevin Mitchell sits. Mookie Wilson moves to left field. Wally Backman, however, opens on the bench. The right-handed hitting Tim Tuffle will be the second baseman tonight for the Mets. Now, the DH rule will be handled differently this year. They'll use it in the American League Park, but not in the National League Park. And so Don Baylor is on the bench for the Red Sox tonight. It was thought for a while he might be used at first base in place of the hobbling Bill Buckner. But Buckner told John McNamara earlier tonight after taking batting practice that he could make it, and so he gets the start. When you speak of leadership, both these clubs have it in abundance. But perhaps the two most compelling figures would be Keith Hernandez and Don Baylor. Hernandez, a .310 hitter, defensive first baseman without peer, and constant intense presence on that Met bench. And Baylor, well, veteran observers say that when he arrived in Boston, the mood in the clubhouse changed. He was a relentless motivator, at times a calming influence. Earlier I spoke with Baylor and Hernandez.
Don Baylor, a 15-year wait to get to your first World Series, and now, at least to start, you've got to wait till we get to Fenway.
Well, it's been somewhat disappointing for myself, but after 15 years and losing 4 playoffs, and the last playoff I was involved in this year, a couple of days ago, was the most exciting one I've ever played. So I just have to wait till I get to Fenway Park, and maybe I'll get a couple of pinch hitting appearances here.
Keith, how exhausted emotionally, physically are you and your teammates with the incredible end of the playoff series, the 16-inning game in Houston, and the long season?
Well, I don't think we're tired at all. My feeling was, speaking for myself, was I was more relieved that we won. We knew Houston was going to be a tough mark. We had a day to relax, and we a couple days off to relax for the game number 1. I'm rested. This is the World Series. This is what it's all about. This is my second. And if you're not excited, you know, you can get all the sleep you want in the winter.
Is it something special to come back to New York a year after the Yankees dealt you away?
Considering the New York nemesis, the Mets and the Boston Red Sox, I thought I would have an opportunity to play for the Yankees in the World Series, but now it's the Red Sox, and I'm just excited.
How dead was the Red Sox bench in the 9th inning in the 5th game at Anaheim when it was 5-2 before your homer brought them to within a run? Had you given up?
Not really, because I went along the bench and just told every player there, if you're going to make an out, make it a quality out. Let's go down swinging. And we're fortunate enough to score 4 runs in a 9th.
Did you really say to Gary Carter the other day in Houston, 16th inning, Jesse Orozco holding on for dear life, you call for one more fastball, we're going to go right here?
Yeah, I said it, but I more or less said it just to break up the tenseness of the moment. I thought we were going to the mound too much for Jesse. But when the tying run got the single and the winning runs at the plate, and he was getting hurt with fastballs, it just got to a point where I wanted to make sure I put that in there. But just to break up the intensity of the moment and get a chuckle from everybody, and Jesse did the job.
Did they laugh?
It was a brief laugh, but it was just such an intense moment. It was more like a sigh from everybody.
Keith Hernandez and Don Baylor, thank you. Back with more of the Game 1 pregame in just a minute. NBC Sports presents the World Series, an inside look. Brought to you by Aetna, the insurance people. Work with the best in the business. By Contel, big company communications for companies of all sizes. And by Taco Bell, the cure for the common meal.
I hate to drive in the rain.
Really? That's when I trust my Michelins the most.
Michelins? You think they're worth it?
Even when the weather's fine, I'm glad I got Michelin tires.
I'd rather save the money.
Some things in life are more important.
Could we take your car to pick up the kids?
I insist.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Yo, Samson. Lunch.
I need a burger like I need another haircut.
Tired of the same routine? Introducing the new Double Beef Burrito Supreme from Taco Bell. It's got twice as much beef as our regular Burrito Supreme for a bigger, beefier taste.
Whoa! Where can I get another one?
They're new in Taco Bell.
Great. I'm out of here.
The new Double Beef Burrito Supreme. Only at Taco Bell. The cure for the common meal.
We're joined now by our regular season Saturday afternoon baseball pregame host, Marv Albert. And Marv, obviously, both these teams did a lot right during the season to make it to the World Series. But inevitably, during a long baseball season, the occasional pratfall.
Bob, certainly the
Mets and the Red Sox had their moments of glory during the course of the season, but they also had their share of wacky moments as our crack staff was able to sort out what we call the Albert Achievement Awards. Our World Series special, starting with the Red Sox. Most elusive play for a pitcher, Bruce Hurst, can't find the baseball. Some intriguing byplay at first base. Bill Buckner and George Bell do not appear to be fond of one another. A more pleasant scenario, Buckner saying, now you wouldn't pull the old hidden ball trick on me. White Evans takes a stronger approach with Kent Herbeck of the Twins, pulling off thievery. The pop fly adventure of the season, Don Baylor, in a rare appearance at first, had a problem. And how about this fly ball to center? Tony Armas on the slippery turf. Forget it. And here's the slide of the year by White Evans. Not out of the baseball textbook, but he is safe. And the Mets had their share of the wild and wacky. Gary Carter using our camera lens as a handball court. Shortstop Rafael Santana enjoying your standard baseball meal, eating a balloon. Opening night in Pittsburgh, Howard Johnson with the shot, fair ball, and playable. But the Pittsburgh ball girl made the catch to stop play. And she is somewhat embarrassed. Ron Darling with the delivery and a smooth follow-through. Manager Davey Johnson, involved in an argument, argues so hard he loses a tooth. So he simply puts it back in his mouth. He obviously doesn't believe in the tooth fairy. Facing the Mets, Kevin McReynolds of San Diego fouls it back right through the opening for the TV camera. Off the fly ball, on the catch by Len Dykstra, he loses his glove, but the ball stays in the glove. Dykstra claims that's an out. The rules say no, it isn't. Nice try, Len. And one of the unique plays of the season, Keith Hernandez with a bouncer back to Terry Mulholland of the Giants. The ball stuck in the glove, so he throws glove and ball to first for the out. And Hernandez was out. That was a legal play. Of course, to get here, Game 1 of the World Series, both the Mets and Red Sox had a host of memorable moments highlighted by their dramatic victories in the playoffs, demonstrating their true colors.
See your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let it show. Your true colors, true colors, true colors are shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. Your true colors, true colors are beautiful, like a rainbow.
They are called Olympic hopefuls, but know that hope plays a small role here. For they will demand of themselves a courage, a discipline, and a sheer will few of us may ever know. But if their effort is true, then they too will be known as Olympians. The human spirit, it still lives in the Olympic Games.
A couple of pitching notes now. Apparently, Roger Clemens will go tomorrow night. Dream matchup with Dwight Gooden, Oil Can Boyd in Game 3 at Fenway, Mark.
And, Bob, there's still speculation concerning the Met rotation. Davey Johnson pondering possibly going with Rick Aguilar in Game 4 at Fenway instead of the left-hander, Sid Fernandez.
Not wanting to risk Fernandez, a fly ball type pitcher, pitches up at Fenway Park, and a left-hander. And Aguilar did work well for the Mets in the playoffs. Now it's time to go to the public address announcer, Jack Franchetti.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the starters of the American League champion Boston Red Sox. First, the manager, number 1, John McNamara. Leading off, he led the American League in hitting with a .357 average. Number 26, third baseman, Wade Boggs. Batting second, the most valuable player in the American League Championship Series, number 17, second baseman, Marty Barrett. Batting third, he knocked in 102 runs this season, number 6, first baseman, Bill Buckner. Batting fourth, he had 2 homers and 6 RBIs in the championship series. Number 14, left fielder Jim Rice. Batting fifth, he hit 26 homers this season. Number 24, right fielder Dwight Evans. Batting sixth, he hit 357 in the championship series. Number 10, catcher Rich Gedman. Batting seventh, his 9th inning homer turned the championship series around for the Red Sox. Number 40, center fielder Dave Henderson. Batting eighth, he batted .429 in the championship series. Number 5, shortstop Spike Owen. And batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, he had a 13-8 record this season. Number 47, pitcher Bruce Hurst. There they are, the American League champion, Boston Red Sox. And now, the starting lineup for your National League champion, New York Mets. The manager, number 5, Davey Johnson. Leading off for the Mets, he had a vital run batted in the Mets' 9th inning rally Wednesday night in Houston. Number 1, left fielder Mookie Wilson. Batting second, his homer won Game 3 of the championship series. Number 4, center fielder Lenny Dykstra. Batting third, he had 7 hits and 3 RBIs in the championship series. Number 17, first baseman Keith Hernandez. Batting fourth, he had 2 game-winning RBIs in the league championship series. Number 8, catcher Gary Carter. Batting fifth, he led all players in the National League Championship Series with 2 homers and 5 RBIs. Number 18, right fielder Darryl Strawberry. Batting sixth, his RBI single in the 16th inning Wednesday night helped put the Mets into the World Series. Number 22, third baseman Ray Knight. Batting seventh, he hit .296 in his final 19 starts of the regular season. Number 11, second baseman Tim Tuffle. Batting eighth, he hit .280 in his last 33 games of the season. Number 3, shortstop Rafael Santana. And batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, he finished the regular season with a 15-6 record and a 2.81 ERA. Number 12, pitcher Ron Darling. There they are, your National League champion, New York Mets. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Joint Services Color Guard from Fort Hamilton, New York. And now, to honor America, please welcome one of America's most celebrated actresses. She has received Oscar nominations for her performance in The World According to Garp, The Big Chill, and The Natural, and also received a Tony Award for The Real Thing. Here to sing tonight's national anthem, Miss Glenn Close.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the
Glenn Close hits her final note, and game time is ever closer. Darling and Hurst just about ready. We'll join Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola for the call after this from NBC News.
This is NBC News Digest. Here is Tom Brokaw, NBC News.
Good evening. The 99th Congress wrapped up its business tonight. Besides overhauling the tax system, this Congress also passed a sweeping anti-drug measure and a new spending bill, which President Reagan signed into law today. The last prisoner held by Castro for the Bay of Pigs invasion was freed today. In Miami, Ramon Conti said Cuba still is not free. And in New York today, former Black Panthers marked the 20th anniversary of that militant group by announcing plans for an archive to show how their doctrine of violence helped moderate blacks make political gains in America. I'm Tom Brokaw in New York. We'll have more news later on this NBC station.
Ray, I can't trust you.
Hey!
You bought the wrong vitamins. We need to eat right and take Geritol Complete.
28 vitamins and minerals.
More than any leading brand.
With Geritol's iron protection.
For Geritol Complete Protection.
When I was younger, Sundays were special. That's when we'd drive over to my grandfather's house. Grandma and Grandpa would be on the porch waiting. I'd talk to my grandfather for hours. Sundays, it was special then.
Sundays are special again when you come home to our house.
That was about the extent of my day. How was... Oh, yeah. What did the doctor say?
There's nothing.
Good. Really?
Really? Well, he said...
What?
Well, you know.
What?
He wants to take some tests. You all right?
Tests? Why? What for?
I don't know.
You don't know?
He says it's nothing to worry about. It's... just wants to be sure.
Nothing to worry about. Tom, you don't take tests unless there's something to worry about.
Listen.
No.
Oh, listen. Whatever it is, we can handle it. It's going to be all right.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Everything's going to be all right.
The People versus Gene Harris, tonight, right after the World Series.
Tonight's game is brought to you by Aetna, the insurance people. Work with the best in the business. By Miller High Life. Miller made the American way since 1855. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Apple Computers, makers of the Apple II and Macintosh families of personal computers. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, and welcome to the World Series. The last time the Boston Red Sox and the New York Mets enjoyed World Championship years, it was a good year for the country. In 1918, when the Red Sox won, we had the end of World War I. And, of course, in 1969, the year of the amazing Mets, we put a man on the moon. They've also gone through the fires of the League Championship Series. They each can sing a litany of frustration over past defeats. And there's another thing they share in common, and that would be they don't know each other. But the scouts do. Just how important is the scouting report for Game 1 of the World Series? Let's go to Joe Garagiola and the two managers, and we'll find out.
Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Vin. John, you had 3 scouts following the Mets. What did they tell you that helps you to know them better?
Well, we have a very good rundown, Joe, on the strengths and weaknesses of both the hitters, the pitches that their pitchers do throw. But I think the key to our ball club is keeping Backman and Dykstra off the bases. That was instrumental in everybody that I talked to.
John, good luck to you.
Thanks, Joe.
Davey, you had 6 scouts following the Red Sox. What did they tell you that got you to know the Red Sox a little bit better?
Well, mostly, pitching is a lot of the game, and mostly, talking about Hurst and Clements and some of their pitchers, their times to home, kind of pick-off moves they have. Both guys, Hurst and Clements, have balk moves. They don't stop. They do some things differently, but Hurst is real slow to home plate, so we might go on first move and hope that Buckner's got to bounce it to second.
Good luck to you, Davey.
Thanks.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Freddie Lynn on deck. The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays there.
They begin so small, and the game is so hard. But they have an incredible secret advantage. They have such heroes to inspire them. Aetna is proud to sponsor the 83rd encounter between the best in the business and the best in the business. The heroes of October are with us again.
Once again, everybody, welcome to Shea Stadium in New York. The first thing we talk about, the Mets, and they take the field before their adoring fans.
Buckner's got to bounce it to second.
Good luck to you. We look at him on defense, the Mets, and in the outfield, we see Wilson, Dykstra, and Strawberry. The best arm out there belongs to Strawberry, but the Red Sox scouts say strong but a bit erratic. Knight, Santana, Tuffle will be at second base, Hernandez at first base, and he is the defensive general. He keeps control. He'll set the bear down intensity for that infield. And behind the plate, Gary Carter, and there's Ron Darling.
Talking about coming a long way, Ron Darling, born in Honolulu and was raised in Millbury, Massachusetts. That's near Worcester. In fact, it's pretty close to Holy Cross. And in 1975, in the storied World Series between the Red Sox and the Reds, why, Ron Darling was in Fenway bleachers in Game 6 when Carlton Fisk hit the memorable home run. And Darling has come from there to the mound at Shea. He is a 15-game winner this year. He was the king of the no decision. He was in 13 no decisions, but it's interesting that the Mets won 11 of those 13.
He's got a fastball, a curve. He throws a split-finger fastball, but he really doesn't throw it that hard. He uses it as an off-speed pitch. When you talk to Davey about Ron Darling, he wants him to get ahead, stay ahead, but he is known as a nibbler. He'll go inside and outside. And that sinker ball, he'll get some ground balls if he's got his good stuff.
He used the telephone to talk to Mike Torres about the older Boston hitters. And then he talked to his teammate, Bobby Ojeda, about the young hitters. He has put all that knowledge together, listened to the scouts, and we'll see how he makes out.
There are a couple things, I think, even before the game starts that you can see the players were worried about. And this field looks great. And it's a real tribute to the grounds crew for what they had to do. Something like 22 yards of topsoil, 5,000 square feet of sod. They had to grade it, and they really did a great job. But it really looks better than it is. There are some bad hops in there, and outfielders will not be charging that recklessly. And base runners will be taking that extra base when that ball gets to the outfield if they see the slightest chance.
We might as well tell you the temperature is 50 degrees, the wind out of the northeast at 9, and they're expecting the temperature late in the game to dip to 41 degrees as Wade Boggs begins. A strike. There is certainly no surprise in Wade Boggs taking the first pitch. I think they figured out he swings at the first pitch only 5% of the time anyway. 0-1. Little chopper to third, short hop by Ray Knight to get him. So Wade Boggs, the Major League's leading hitter, tops to third.
Ray Knight was playing shallow. He really gets it on his short hop. It's not as easy a play as it looks, but once he's got it, he's got him by yards. But he really didn't put a whole lot on that throw, and it wasn't that easy a play for Hernandez at first base.
Where's the MVP of the LCS, Marty Barrett? We'll give you his league numbers and later on get into his daring do against California. He's the runner on the team. He led the Sox with 15 stolen bases. That's not many. And certainly with so many other teams, it comes as a shock. The Red Sox had the fewest stolen bases in the major leagues, only 41, and he led the club with the 15. Popped it foul, high and back of the plate. Gary Carter coming back. No play.
Marty Barrett has a little habit, and I even asked him about it. His back foot, when he gets ready to hit, he moves it. And I said to him, why do you do that, Marty? He says, I don't know. Now, Jack Clark of the Cardinals does the same thing, but watch when he gets set, right before he's ready to swing, he'll make that move. But whatever it does for him, it helps him because he had some championship series. Now watch him.
The American leaguers feel he's a high fastball hitter, and he likes the ball away. And that's just what he got, away, and he smothers it into right field. So they pitched him away, and he went with it and singled to right. And Marty Barrett comes up with the first base hit of the 1986 World Series. Boy, what a story he is.
He really is, and you'll see him. He just really throws that bat at the ball, and what he tries to do is hit that ball to right field because he says, I'd rather be jammed inside than to strike out on an outside pitch. So he's always going towards right field, and with a man on base, he is doubly tough.
Well, have you ever wondered what happened to Johnny Unitas' old shoes? It looks like Bill Buckner is wearing them, but actually they're brand new. A strike. Buckner with bad ankles, torn up legs and knees, and he has those high tops on, and he said, I will never play another game without them. He has changed his hitting style, and considering the fact he was so effective throughout, almost 15 years. But a year and a half ago, he became a Walt Riniak student, and now he's taking a chapter right out of Charlie Lau. You'll watch him with all of his weight on his back leg. One thing Walt Riniak teaches, and he is the first base coach, is when Buckner or any of his pupils get through the strike zone, once they have made contact, as the bat just about finishes the plate, the top hand will come off the bat. In the dirt. Good save by Carter.
That was an exceptionally good save because it was a breaking ball, and the breaking ball will always break, not continue to go way it's going. It'll break back towards Gary Carter's left shoulder. Watch when it hits the dirt. If that's a fastball, it keeps going straight, but you see it take that right turn almost, and Gary got in front of it nicely. I'll tell you, it saves the man from going to second base, scoring position, and yet you'll not see that in the box score.
Darling is the kind of man who has a very slow move to first to lull you, and then he has a pretty good one. Now, that's strictly a commercial move. That wouldn't sell you any land in Florida. But later on, when he's really serious, he can have a pretty good move. Slice foul and out of play. The Red Sox this year scored more runs in the first inning than any other inning. So they come out of the chute with a runner at first and one out, and Buckner and Rice back to back.
The one thing the Red Sox really don't do, as opposed to the Mets, is manufacture runs. They've got some power. They got some guys that can wait for the 3-run homer, and they were getting it all year.
Marty Barrett held on by Keith Hernandez. 2-2. The count to Bill Buckner. One away. Just starting up. Ground ball to the right side to Tuffle. They get one. Santana to Hernandez. And Buckner could barely get down the 90 feet. So the double play, 4-6-3. And at the end of half an inning, Red Sox nothing, Mets coming up.
Think of all the power on this earth. The power of nature and human endurance. The power of spirit and speed and determination. And then realize that of all this power, none is more potent than the power that resides within the minds of us all. The power to learn, to communicate, to imagine, to create. The power to be your best.
Watch closely. You're looking at America's 2 leading premium beers. Because Miller High Life comes in a clear bottle, you probably think it's the lighter of the 2. But life is full of surprises. You see, Miller High Life is brewed darker from this special and expensive roasted malt. Pour them for yourself. See the difference roasted malt can make. Then compare the taste, and you just might find out what a beer made the American way is all about. Miller High Life.
Well, that's baseball, and it's my game. You know, you take your worries to the park and you leave them there. You yell like crazy for your guys. Good for your lungs. The hot dog at the game beats roast beef at the Ritz. See your own national game beautifully played. Let's all go out to the ball game as often as we can get away next season. For my dough, that's living.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Bottom of the first inning, and the Mets will have Mookie Wilson, followed by Len Dykstra and Keith Hernandez. Mookie in the leadoff role this year hit 3 leadoff home runs, and he has 6 in his career. Strike. 0-1 to Mookie. Hit in the eye March the 5th, 21 stitches around the area, injured in a rundown play in spring training, but he came back. That's a strike. 1-1.
Hurst has a good curveball. He throws a forkball, has a fastball, and he'll use all of them. Most pitchers, when they get in the jam, have a I'll go-to pitch. With Hurst, he'll go to any of the 3.
So the pitch to Mookie, down at the ankles. Wilson with Dykstra hitting second, and considering Buckner's bad leg at first base, we could look for a couple of things. Down he goes. Let's take a look at Boston with the leather.
The defense for Boston, Rice is in left field, Henderson is in center field, Evans is in right field. The best arm out there belongs to Evans, and he can really throw. Boggs Boggs, Owen, Barrett, Buckner in the infield, Gedman behind the plate. And Vin, I think right here we're going to see that chance for Buckner because Dykstra wants to get something started because I think that Davy Johnson would like to send a message over to McNamara that we're going to run and try to manufacture some runs. And Hurst, you could see, pointed to Buckner, be alive.
And he's going to run up and take a look at it. We'll keep an eye on Buckner as well. You might have wondered if Buckner has a bad leg. Why didn't they play hit and run in the first inning to try and avoid the double play? Evidently, McNamara wanted to keep Hernandez on the bag, and he wanted to give Buckner the hole on the right side of the infield. Dykstra moving up in the box on that pitch. Ball 2-0.
Well, he's very effective when he does that. He pulls that infield in. As you can see, Boggs is in close to third base, and all he has to do is what Casey Stengel used to call that butcher boy swing, hit down on the ball and get the bouncing ball, and he's on.
The fellow who's in motion is Marty Barrett, the second baseman. He really has to cover on a bunt, and he knows he's got to cover a lot of ground with an ailing Buckner. 2-1 to count to Dykstra, the kid who is called Nails. If nothing else, he has the Red Sox thinking bunt on the count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Just watching him fake that bunt, you can just see everybody moving, and once you have the infielders going, percentage comes to your side.
He was a 13th round draft choice by the Mets and stubbornly insisted on a contract for Class A ball. Got him. To put that in proper perspective on Dykstra, both Strawberry and Gooden started out in a rookie league.
Dykstra guards that plate well, but from Hurst you can see a breaking ball, and I mean he starts it from about first base and he gets him fairly easy.
That's 2 strikeouts for Bruce Hurst. His high this year, he had 14. And here is Keith Hernandez. In there. 2 down, first inning, no score. So pull up a chair for game 1 of the 86 series, the Red Sox and the Mets. Breeze blowing out to right. 0-1. The Mets were notorious slow starters in the LCS. They hit less than 50 points collectively in the first 3 innings of their games, and then they came with a rush. 10, almost half of their runs, came from the 9th inning on. 2 balls, 1 strike.
When you look at a batter like Hernandez and you wonder what checkpoints hitters use, from the center field shot you can see his 3 checkpoints very well. It's the front shoulder, he has to keep it in, don't wrap the bat around his head, and keep his hands out.
Ground foul. Interesting story came out of the last game in Houston. Hernandez was 0 for 3, ran back to the clubhouse and called his brother Gary in California because he respects Gary so much. He said, "Am I swinging the bat all right?" Gary said, "You're swinging the bat well, but you're too tentative. Go up there and attack." Next at bat, he doubled home Wilson, scored the tying run, and the rest is history. Fly ball to center. Going back on it is Dave Henderson. He has a play. The wind cut that thing in half, and the first inning is in the books. The Mets are gone in order, and at the end of an inning, the Red Sox nothing and the Mets nothing.
To know no boundaries, to let yourself run free. To know no boundaries is what the world should be.
Wherever there are investment opportunities, Merrill Lynch is there with the help you need to make the most of them. Because at Merrill Lynch, we believe your world should know no boundaries.
To know no boundaries.
The first look will move you with revealing shapes that reveal even more about the overall design. But there's an inner design that can only be felt when these cars are actually driven. This is Ford today, designed to move you like never before.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Sending a letter overnight was once a prerogative reserved only for the very rich and the very wasteful. Now, with the UPS Next Day Air letter, everyone can send a letter overnight at a paltry $8.50. You may think of it as the overnight letter for the very smart and the very frugal. UPS, we run the tightest ship in the shipping business.
Red Sox, I understand. White Sox, I get. Yankees even make some kind of sense. But can somebody explain what Mets are?
Now, Monday. We're going to the second inning at Shea Stadium in New York. No score. The Boston Red Sox and the New York Mets in Game 1. It'll be Jim Rice, Dwight Evans, and then Rich Gedman. Jim Rice, who had 2 home runs in the LCS, both of them at Fenway Park in Game 2 and Game 7. And you might remember he missed the 1975 World Series. He was hit on the wrist and suffered a broken hand hit by Vern Rule, who of course was with the California Angels this year. But Rice finally in and ready to play.
Watching him walk in and talking to him, we're talking about hitting the first pitch. He says, before I go in the batter's box, I have my mind made up as to whether I'm going to swing at that first pitch or not. So he's already programmed.
And he has those great credentials, 2,000 hits, MVP in 1978. And here we go. A little high with the fastball.
He's choked up a bit on the bat, but there are times when he'll get down on the end. You can see about an inch or so, but when he gets down on the end, he's going to play long ball with you.
1-0. Fastball fouled away. If Rice had his way, number one, he will swing at the first fastball, which he has done. He's a very good high ball hitter. So if you're going to give him fastballs, you'd better come way inside on him. And the Angels did a pretty good job on him with breaking stuff. Off speed. Beautiful pitch by Darling in the count 1-2.
He's a little bit away from that plate. I think maybe a little bit more than he normally is. There was that split finger. You could see it as he released it.
And back with a fastball and missed. Ball 2. 2-2.
Here's where the good pitcher puts something extra on because he still has some percentage. He wants it to happen on 2-2. 3-2, he loses a little bit of that. And even though it's not a base on balls, he hurts himself.
High again, ball 3. The Red Sox had a base hit by Marty Barrett in the first inning, and the Mets went out in order. You know, in 9 of the last 14 years, the losing team in Game 1 has scored 2 runs or less. Big chopper to third. Ray Knight is there. 1 away. So you get an indication that in the first game of the World Series, the pitchers are pretty much in control. And then if you go back into the record books, 3 of the 5 top strikeout games in World Series history have been in Game 1. When Gibson struck out 17 against Detroit, that was Game 1. When Koufax struck out 15 against the Yankees in '63, that was Game 1. To go way back, when Howard Emke struck out 13 Cubs, that was Game 1. Here's Dwight Evans. And he promptly unloads into deep left center. That slanting wind is going to cut it down, and Dykstra has it. And I think that's out of here, except for that slanting wind blowing from left to right.
He's not going to hit the ball any better than he just hit that one. Hit it to the deep part of the park, and the wind got it. You can see the reaction. Now he's way back on that back foot, and he really gets into it. And it just dies. Dykstra finds the fence. Warning track tells him he's a little bit closer, and he just waits for it.
Here's an interesting matchup now with Rich Gedman at the plate. We were talking before about Darling coming a long way. Darling went to St. John's High School. Gedman went to St. Peter's Marion in Worcester, and they faced each other in high school. At the time, Darling was a sophomore. Gedman was a senior. Gedman came up to hit with runners at second and third, and Darling walked him intentionally. But the interesting note, in that game, Gedman was the pitcher. 2-1. What are the odds playing against each other in Worcester in high school, and here you are head-to-head in New York in the World Series?
At a different position.
A very unusual left-hand hitter. He likes the ball up. And he's jammed and pops it up on the left side. It's Santana. So the Sox are done thanks to the wind, and that one run very much gone with the wind. And at the end of an inning and a half, no score.
The moment you see the award-winning Ford Taurus, you notice the difference in design. A difference that becomes even more dramatic the moment you drive one. Now we imagine others will eventually catch on, but they may never catch up. This is Taurus.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Watch closely. You're looking at America's 2 leading premium beers. Because Miller High Life comes in a clear bottle, you probably think it's the lighter of the 2. But life is full of surprises. You see, Miller High Life is brewed darker from this special and expensive roasted malt. Pour them for yourself. See the difference roasted malt can make. Then compare the taste, and you just might find out what a beer made the American way is all about. Miller High Life.
If you want to risk driving on your old antifreeze another year, you ought to know what you might be getting yourself into. Driving just 10,000 miles on weak, neglected antifreeze can cause freeze-up and make a radiator look this bad, while a Prestone radiator looks this good. So for maximum protection, don't push your luck. Change it once a year, every year, with fresh Prestone. And don't you be left out in the cold.
Flight 601 is going to crash tonight, and the only man who can save it just woke up.
Monday.
The one that goes over the plate for a strike. So I want fork ball and my breaking ball. I think I can get by with a mediocre fastball.
Well, we'll see about Bruce Hurst getting by with a mediocre fastball, because Gary Carter, who is a high ball hitter, will start it off. Then Darryl Strawberry and Ray Knight. One of Carter's problems, the experts tell me, during the LCS was that he was trying to pull everything. And when he would take his stride, he would land on his heel. And he was a dead meat up there.
Well, they were throwing in breaking balls the outside part of the plate, and what they did, they forced him to widen his zone, and it's tough to hit the bad ball.
Strike, 0-1 to count. Davey Johnson, who has been in 4 World Series as a player, now piloting the New York Mets. Hit off the end of the stick, roll to the right side, bad hop, and Barrett stayed with it. Good play by Marty. That thing almost kangarooed and got him.
The grass is extra fast. They mowed it yesterday, but again, remember what we talked about earlier, that ball just takes a bad hop. But there you see Marty staying right with it. It's been said many times, and it took a league championship series to really point it out, but one of the most underrated players in all of baseball was young Marty Barrett.
Interesting now, the confrontation with Darryl Strawberry. Feast or famine for him. He is a better low ball hitter, and he certainly likes the ball out over the plate so he can get full extension of his arm. So left-handers like to curve him a lot. Foul back. 1-1.
Gedman behind the plate. He'll move late so that he protect himself against the batters who peak, but that glove is his target. He's made himself into a fine catcher.
1 ball, 1 strike. On the inside corner. Interesting contrast where you were seeing people like Boggs and Buckner, the Charlie Lau school, with weight on the back leg. Bill Robinson, who is Strawberry's hitting instructor, wants him more erect at the plate. He doesn't want his weight all the way back. And he is caught looking, and down he goes. 3 strikeouts for Bruce Hurst.
There was a case of using the slow curveball, throwing the fork ball, and then that fastball that he says I can get by with a mediocre fastball. You can if the other 2 pitches will set it up for you, and that's exactly what he did there. Talking about Bill Robinson, it's a unique way he teaches hitting. He says hitting is rhythm. He says, I really don't teach hitting, I teach batting. So he plays a radio down there, and if you like country western, he puts that on, soul, rock, whatever. Hit according to the rhythm.
Here's Ray Knight. Knight's a high ball hitter, so we'll see if they stay down on him. No, they come up high. Ball 1.
Mistake.
He had the Mets' highest batting average against left-handers during the year. He had 376 against left-handers. works in low. John McNamara, who has piloted 5 teams. The record is 6, held by Dick Williams and the late Jimmy Dykes. 2-0. And he's staying up and away, and he's behind 3-0.
Those were 2 mistakes, Vin. You can tell with Gedman when he gives his sign, watch his right hand whenever we have that shot up there, because we can't keep it up there all night. But he'll give you a location. He wanted it down.
3-0. And he is high again. So to a high ball hitter, apparently he was trying to come inside high, and he couldn't do it. So he walks him on 4, and the batter now is Tim Tuffle. And, of course, Tuffle has had experience in the American League, so Hurst is no stranger to him. Tim goes against left-handers, Wally Backman against right-handers.
Hurst has a good move, not that much of a base runner, but if you remember in our opening, Davy Johnson talking about Clemens and Hurst having balk moves. He'll hang you with that front leg, Hurst will, and he can really hold you on.
And he's got him if he had it gotten over there in a hurry. He had him leaning the wrong way.
Well, they're calling balk already, because I'll tell you, he's got a good move. Watch how he'll almost look to the plate. Now he'll go to first. I tell you, he had him leaning. He popped his shoestrings.
He has an American League umpire at first, Jim Evans, who is accustomed to seeing that move. That might be a good point for Bruce to capitalize on. So Jim just keeping an eye on him. He'll be the plate umpire tomorrow night. We have the big confrontation between Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden. Knight with 2 down at first, held on by Buckner. Hurst with that move has picked off 35 runners in the last couple of years, but only 4 in 1986. He had 11 last year in the American League. Said, wait a minute, we'll have to hang close with this guy.
Oddly enough, no balks were called on him this season.
2-0. Now he's digging a little hole. He might have an escape hatch on deck in Rafael Santana, but he would just as soon start the inning with Santana. Instead, with 2 out, he's behind a Tuffle, 3-0. 2 down, second inning, no score. And it's in there. 3-1. Tuffle has pretty good running speed, and Hurst trying to tie up the runner at first. If the count were different, he would certainly play run and hit. With the count 3-1, let's see. Not against Hurst's move.
Gedman looking over at the bench a couple times, and you can bet that what McNamara is telling him is to just get the ball over the plate.
Knight is not a base threat. He has not stolen a base this year. Line drive, base hit in left field. Knight to second and holding, and Jim Rice will get it back in. So with 2 out, a walk and a single to left. Remember, the count was 3-1. He had to come in with that ordinary fastball.
When the pitcher has to go deep with 3 balls, 1 strike, 3 balls, 2 strikes, he's in a little bit of trouble. Now, Gedman asked him to bear down, and I'll tell you, Santana is one of the players that they talked about because of the scouts, Sam Mealy and let's see, Wayne Britton was another one of the scouts. Santana has been hot, and they were talking about him coming down the end of the season. Santana's been a hot hitter up there hacking, as they say.
Tell you how he hacked. In the last month of the season, Santana hit 280. All right, Marty Barrett has had a few words with Hurst. You have runners at first and second. No speed at second base, certainly, in Ray Knight. And Tuffle at first. 2 down, no score, second inning. And here's Santana.
Dwight Evans in right field taking charge of moving Henderson, who's a little bit over in right center field.
In there, 0-1. So after pitching behind, walking Knight, and then 3-1 to Knight, he starts Santana with a strike. 0-1. The pitcher, Ron Darling, following Santana. A comebacker. Hurst has it, has to take a little time, goes to Buckner, and that's it. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 left at the end of 2, no score. And we'll be right back after these messages from your local stations.
Two women in love, how far will they go?
Would you let yourself get pregnant?
To win the man of their dreams. To marry an officer and a gentleman. Monday.
This day is there in your IDS financial plan. It was called contingency savings, but it turned into the wedding you always wanted to give her. IDS planners are specialists who know that your plan isn't just numbers. It's a picture of how to get what you want out of life. IDS at American Express Company.
It's shocking. Many new car engines are breaking down. The problem? Clogged fuel injectors. While a few gasolines claim to clean them, only one guarantees it. Arco. This is the Arco guarantee. Arco Super Unleaded cleans fuel injectors and keeps them clean, or we clean them for free. So fill up with Arco Super Unleaded. It's guaranteed to clean.
Find your lucky lotto numbers.
3, a 6, and you know the score. I got mine, but you go find 6 lucky numbers that are yours. It's a blast, it's a hit. Oh, when your numbers fit, look at it well, you could be a millionaire. It's a new way to play, where you play your own way. Watch it grow. Play Lotto.
The People versus Gene Harris, tonight, right after the World Series.
Tonight's game is brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. And by Michelin. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. The third inning of our first game with Dave Henderson, followed by Spike Owen, and then Bruce Hurst. Here's Walt Reniak, the pride of Natick, Massachusetts, the home of Doug Flutie, Joe Coleman, and Walt Reniak. And there's Rene Latchman, who back in 1962 was the ball boy for the Los Angeles Dodgers, later to become a big league manager at Seattle.
Dave Henderson.
Dave Henderson to start it off. 1 for 9 in the LCS, but oh, what a one it was.
Boy, did he pick that ball club up. He's become a folk hero.
Popped in the air off to the right. Coming over is Gary Carter to the edge of the dugout. No play. It's back in about 2 rows. John Kibler, the National League, working behind the plate. Jim Evans at first, Harry Wendelstedt at second, Joe Brinkman at third, and on the lines, Ed Montague of the National League at left, Dale Ford of the American League in right.
Gary Carter knows that wind in this ballpark swirling, so he's going to make sure he just checks everything out. He got right next to that fence, made sure it was in the stands.
The American League pitchers like to keep the ball very much in on Henderson. And Darling works away. How much credence did you put on scouting reports when you played in the series?
If I wasn't sure, I believed them all. But if I had better ideas, I went with what I thought.
0-2. Fastball hit to straightaway center. Back goes Dykstra, and he has room. So far, the only difference in the game, the ball hit by Dewey Evans that might have gone out in the daytime for sure, and without the wind at night.
Vin, just an interesting thing as you watch the set and we watch our monitors, when Carter gives his sign, you can see his fingers below his body, and many times that can be picked up by other ball clubs, and that's one way you steal signs. I saw that in the championship series. I asked him about it. It's to help his infielders. Now, he doesn't do it on every pitch.
We'll take a look at it as Owen fouls it back.
On his center field shot, on certain pitches, he'll drop, and you can see the fingers. Usually you got him right up against your legs so nobody can see him except your pitcher.
Well, how did he get into that habit of doing it?
It's not a habit. It's on purpose. Now, he hid that one well.
That's a strike.
It began with Wally Backman, who couldn't see certain pitches, and he wanted to know about it. And so they said, well, I'll help you on those pitches. What he wants to do, Backman, is to know the pitch so he can relay it to Hernandez and doesn't want pitchers changing up on their own.
The Mets have just brought Darryl Strawberry in about 3 steps and over to his right. Fouled away down the left field line, out of play. You know, everybody talks about Spike and his 5 errors in the LCS. But remember, in Game 6, he went 4 for 4. And in Game 7, he went 2 for 4. He made some valuable contributions. Don't forget the 5 errors. They're here. No balls, 2 strikes. Fouled off.
That was a perfect shot of exactly what I was talking about. You could see the 2 fingers below the body, and with nobody on base, you know he's just flashing one sign. It was curveball. But he doesn't do it on every pitch. And that's what you have to be careful about, because tell a hitter a curveball's coming and a fastball shows up, he's not going to believe you the rest of his life.
Right, don't blame him. 0-2 to Spike on. 1 away, top of the 3rd, no score. Split finger job picks up his first strikeout, and we have 2 down in the 3rd inning. And now here comes Bruce Hurst after we look at that split finger job.
You can really see it. Look at the rotation. He uses as a change of speed, breaks down and away. His split finger, that seems to be the word of the 80s, and certainly Roger Craig is the guy who brought it into fashion. But pitches don't change. It's a fork ball, going back to Elroy Faze, Mort Cooper, and going way back.
Bruce Hurst in his first major league at-bat. He said he hit in Double-A at Bristol, Connecticut. He got a single against the St. Louis Cardinals in an exhibition game this year. And he got great advice from his brother in St. George, Utah. Is this typical brother advice?
Yeah.
The brother said, don't embarrass the family.
That's right.
That's terrific. 0-2. Well, for the Bruce Hurst Marching and Chowder Society, what in the world would you expect? And at the end of 2.5, no score.
This world calls for good times. This world calls for sharing. And this world calls for
Lowenbrow, the only beer brewed in the great beer drinking countries.
Brewed in England.
Sweden.
Canada.
Japan.
And here in America.
For 600 years of Bavarian heritage in one smooth American beer.
Lowenbrow.
Children well, their skill will tell how life will go by, and show them their own dreams. The one they'll pick is the one they'll know by. Teach them how to think, teach them the things that they can live by. Show them how to grow, because they know how much they must try.
Nothing's more important than teaching children well. That's why more schools teach on Apple than any other computer.
So just look at them and sigh, and know they love you.
I'm thinking about buying some Michelin radials.
How come?
Well, Michelin's really last.
What do you base that on?
Experience. I got 60,000 miles from my last set.
60? Pretty good. But your car's getting old. It's just not worth Michelin's anymore.
You're right. But who's buying them for the car?
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Ron Darling will start it off, followed by Mookie Wilson, then Len Dykstra. Bottom of the 3rd inning, no score. Low numbers, but Ron is considered a pretty good hitting pitcher as he takes a strike. 0-1. You would think the Mets pitchers were in the American League, and they had at-bats for the first time. They were 0 for 13 in the LCS. 0-2. And they had just 1 sacrifice bunt.
I don't know if it's because they're not very good or the Houston pitching is as great as it was in its series, the LCS, and of course all season.
I'd give the nod to the Houston pitching.
I would too.
Buddy Harrelson, the third base coach, coming over to pick that up. Buddy played every inning of every game in the 1969 World Series and the 1973 World Series. 0-2 to Ron Darling. Over at first base is Bill Robinson. And Bill played in the 1979 World Series. He played for Pittsburgh against Baltimore. And, of course, on the Baltimore team, his current manager, Davy Johnson. Got him. So for Hurst, 4 strikeouts. Remember, he had 14 in a game against Texas, so he can do it.
Here's the Mets.
You'll also notice the pitchers are blowing on their hands. They're allowed to do that in this weather. It started at 50 degrees, and it's going to get colder, down in the 40s.
And you notice they're not fooling around on the mound too much. Whatever move they make is serious. Get the ball and throw.
Mookie struck out in the first inning, 0 for 1.
You hear the expression framing the pitch. You'll get a pretty good idea today as we look at Oil Can Boyd just sitting on the bench trying to stay warm.
1-1.
Simplified framing the pitch is keeping that glove and catching the ball in the strike zone, borderline especially.
Fouled away, 1-2. I was wondering whether Mookie was going to try and bunt. He likes to drag and push, and especially push right-handed. And I'm still waiting for the Mets to exploit Bill Buckner at first base, or at least to attempt to. They haven't tried it. 1-2 to Mookie Wilson. Ground ball slowly and foul outside of third. So Mookie will come back and try it again. A little history here as we look at Shea Stadium. It opened up the 17th of April 1964. Across the street was the World's Fair, and they certainly broke it in right. They had a 23-inning game where they lost to the Giants. Jim Bunning pitched a perfect game here the first year. The All-Star game was played here in '64, and Ron Hunt was the first Met to play in it. The Mets had a big role in that '64 pennant race, won eventually by the Cardinals. Ground ball up the middle, base hit for Mookie Wilson.
Well, you can bet we'll see some action. He set the first move, but Mookie Wilson is a very impatient runner, and if Hurst can hold that ball, he may catch him breaking, but we're going to have some action. I can almost guarantee it.
Center fielder.
That's what it looked like to Hurst coming back. He'd fallen towards third base. That ball easy base hit.
Now we have all kinds of possibilities. You have a straight steal from Mookie. You have a possible bunt by Dykstra. You could have a bunt and run. You could have a hit and run. And the Mets now trying to wake up early, a thing they couldn't do in the LCS.
Davy Johnson even had his scouts timed the time the pitcher lifts his foot and goes to first base because they think they can beat the throw from the first baseman. That's pretty fine when you start measuring the time the pitcher takes from the mound to first base.
Going over there again.
Mookie's got some ideas, Vin.
Oh, yes. The reason Dykstra is starting tonight and hitting in the #2 slot is for just this kind of a moment, to hit behind Wilson at first base. The right side of the infield is open with Buckner on the bag, and of course Dykstra loves to bunt. Mookie holding. 4-1.
You won't see Gedman pitch out too much because he had an outstanding year, and in the LCS 4 out of 5 he nailed, so he can do it back there. He's checking his bench to see if if McNamara wants to put a play on.
Wilson stole 25 bases during the regular year. The Mets were 4 for 4 in stolen bases against the Astros. So our first real cat and mouse situation is right now. No score, bottom of the third, 1 out.
Mookie Wilson, Dykstra, Backman, and Strawberry all have the green light. They only have no-go signs.
Mookie holding. Big breaking ball. Boy, did you see Dykstra flinch, duck, and back out of there. Wow.
It was that slow curveball. He starts it right at him, and you can see Dykstra back out. Right here, he gives a lot of ground. He thinks he's going to be way inside. And look at Gedman bearing down more to get the strike, and he was worried about the runner.
1 ball, 1 strike. You remember Dykstra had the big triple against Bob Nepper in the 9th inning of the winning game, and it was Dykstra who was low bridged by Nolan Ryan with one of those 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, and he then dug back in and hit a curveball into left field for a base hit. And they're really watching Mookie.
Surprised he's not just trying to hold that ball and take the spring out of Mookie's legs, but he's going to try to wear him out by throwing over there, which is another way of getting that runner to lose the spring in his legs.
1-1. There he goes. Pitch is high. Gedman is late.
He had a tremendous jump. A great piece of base running by Mookie. It's a straight steal. Look at that head looking towards second base. And Gedman did everything he could to get him, but he really had no chance. He gets into it, guns it. Good ball to handle, but you'd have to blame that on Hurst. And now Gedman wants to go out and talk to his pitcher, and it's the obvious situation of changing signs with the man on at second base.
If there is one decided edge, it's the overall speed and range of the Mets against the Red Sox. Plus, of course, remember that in this World Series, Whitey Herzog's idea has finally borne fruition, and the commissioner has used the designated hitter rule. No DH in the National League Park and DH in the American League Park. And that could be a big disadvantage for Boston. 2-1. Turned him around. Ball 3. Almost got him.
It was the fastball. Dykstra, he hangs in a long time.
Listen, after being low bridged by a 95 Ryan job, that wasn't too much.
But you know, this guy coming up here used to go against batting machines, and he kept moving closer to the machine, closer to the machine. His time is called now, something out in left field. I asked him about that. He said he gave himself 3 years. He said, I wanted to go to the big league. So he went down and hit against the pitching machine, and he'd begin at 60 feet, and then he'd move closer and turn the speed of the machine up. He said, I wanted good bat speed.
That's what they ought to do tomorrow in batting practice, because they're going to be looking at either Gooden or Clemens. You might as well hit about 50 feet in front of the plate.
It's about what it'll seem like.
3-1 to Dykstra. 1 out in the 3rd. No score. Right. 3-2.
That's what he does well. He'll make that pitcher work. He's trying to get on to get Hernandez up there.
Boy, it's hand-blowing time on the old plantation. Cold in New York. 3-2 to Dykstra. Bruce Hurst, the 13-game winner during the regular season, trying to get the Red Sox off on the right foot. Pride of St. George, Utah. 3-2. Fouled away, off to the left and out of play. There's Keith Hernandez on deck, bare-armed.
In a familiar pose, he says, I have to be on my knee in the on-deck circle because I want to see how the pitcher works the hitter in front of me, especially if he's a left-hand pitcher.
Another thing, we told you the story about his brother Gary. Well, Gary's here tonight, so it'll save him a call. 3-2 to Lenny Dykstra. Mookie Wilson at second base. 1 out in the 3rd. No score.
He just shook him off a pitch, so Gedman and Hurst are not really in complete sync on what they want to do to Dykstra.
And he missed for ball 4. And with 2 on and 1 out, Hernandez and Carter coming up back-to-back.
Hernandez, especially against left-hand pitching, tries to wait on that ball and go to the opposite field. He doesn't want to give up the center of the diamond. He'll go from the center of the diamond to left field, unless it's that real slow curveball. But usually he'll, against a left-hander, he'll use the middle of the diamond.
Interesting seeing Hernandez. He was a member of the last National League team to win the World Series. the 82 Cardinals. And he's up there now trying to get the Mets off and winging. 0-1. Interesting combination here because the Red Sox, their pitchers allowed the fewest walks in the majors. They average just under 3. And you have a hitter up there who walks a lot in Keith Hernandez. Hurst has already walked 2 batters tonight while striking out 4. 2 balls, no strikes. Here you can see the combination, and now Bill Fisher, who holds the record for consecutive innings without a walk, is trying to go out there and solve the riddle. And I'll tell you what would probably help. If it was about 20 degrees warmer, Hurst would probably have a better grip on the ball.
Well, that could be, but he wants him to be the Bruce Hurst that everybody has seen. He doesn't want him to be pitching any different. But you can see he's put a little extra in there. He's in the jam, and now Hernandez, 2 balls and no strikes. He can really sit on a particular pitch and pretty much do what he wants with it.
Bill Fisher trying to counsel Bruce Hurst. His record, 84 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings. Bill, who had a 20-year career as a pitcher, 9 of them in the big leagues, now huddling with John McNamara, and Fish is getting on the phone to the bullpen. 2 balls and no strikes to Keith Hernandez. Wilson at second with a single and a stolen base, and Dykstra at first on the walk. Nipper begins to throw in the Cardinal bullpen. A throwback, but not in time to get Wilson.
Good throw by Gedman. That was one of those I'll be there plays. He saw the shortstop Owen sneak in there. There's no set play here. 2 balls and no strikes. You can see he thinks he's got a chance. And I tell you, he made it pretty close. And if nothing else, that'll cut Mookie's lead down and maybe get a chance for a play at the plate. Makes your ball club look good when you do things like that.
Harry Wendelstedt, the second base umpire, right there to call it. 2-1 to count to Hernandez. Here's Harry. And a drive to right field. Evans going into the corner. The ball is hooking. He's going to one-hand it. Tagging up is Wilson and goes to third, and the throw to Marty Barrett, who'll run it back to the infield. Oh, what a dandy play by Dwight Evans in the corner.
It ended up in foul territory, but I tell you, that was not a typical Hernandez swing. You could see he was going for the downs on 3-0, and Evans really makes a good play. Didn't have a whole lot of room between the foul line and the wall, and Mookie is able to pick up the extra base. But Evans was way over. It was a long run, but I'll tell you something. That swing by Hernandez, you won't see that, I'll bet you, 3 times a year, because he just went after a high fastball. He was going for downtown.
So Mookie Wilson at third. Lenny Dykstra had to hold at first. Marty Barrett going deep into right field to handle the throw from Dwight Evans. The wind has got Evans talking to himself. Remember, his bid for a home run was cut down, and the wind was blowing that ball away from him as he almost ran into the wall full tilt. So here's Gary Carter, grounded to second in the second inning. Ball 1.
Here's Hernandez swing. Watch him really go out after it. I mean, he's going high outside, and to pull it that far, he had one thing in mind: home run. You won't see that kind of a swing from Hernandez very often.
So another member of the Just Missed Club, and 1 ball and no strikes to Gary Carter. Dykstra at first, held on by Buckner. Wilson down the line from third. No score, bottom of the 3rd inning. Ball 2. After Carter comes a left-hand hitter, Darryl Strawberry. He struck out in the 2nd inning. 2 balls, no strikes. Got the inside part of the plate. Good pitch. 2-1.
Well, that pitch was, you have to believe that Gary was looking for something besides that fastball, because it was low inside, something he could handle.
Two.
That was a forker.
So Dykstra continues to hold. Mookie standing at third with 2 out. Deuces wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out in the third, no score.
And you have to be alive with Mookie Wilson at third and Dykstra at first. They may try to steal a run here. They gave Gary 2 swings at it, so let's see what happens. You certainly be looking for it.
Dykstra holding. And fisted on the ground to Barrett. He'll feed Owen, and that's it. They get the force play on Dykstra coming down. No runs, 1 hit, a walk and a stolen base, and at the end of 3, no score.
So Jackie.
In 1986, and for 6 years running, Ford made a commitment to quality.
And Ford delivered. Because quality is job one, all the bumpers in our cars are 4 times as strong as the government requires, which may result in lower repair costs.
And nationwide surveys show that we're designing and building the highest quality American cars and trucks.
Ford promises, Ford delivers, quality is job one.
Dr. Macy? Mrs. London just called.
I'll call her back.
Don't bother. She's on her way over.
How he did it was a mystery to me. But he'd just make people stop being afraid.
You're doing real well. Nothing physical.
I could feel it happen. He was the whole reason I decided to become a doctor.
Medicine's changed. The technology's so incredible.
Hi, Dr. Macy.
How you doing, Tim?
I'm scared.
But that feeling of security people need will never change.
You gotta tell this kid there are a lot of things he can't do.
10 million Americans depend on Aetna for that feeling.
He's your patient, Kate.
And what makes Aetna the best in health benefits isn't just knowing how to cope with this bewildering present.
Hey, Pop.
It's knowing what must be saved from the past.
I need some advice.
Searching here for predictions and there for analysis? Oh, the dilemma of choosing the right pregame show. We at NBC Sports suggest you give as much thought to choosing a pregame show as you did when saying I do. Possibly more. NFL 86, the one you'll choose.
How cold is it in New York? Well, hot water bottles are in order in the Red Sox dugout. Towels wrapped around the can's head, and in the roof there are heating elements. Marty Barrett getting his hands warm. The elements in the Mets dugout as well.
You know, Vin, one of the ways you know you're about to get traded is when the manager asks you to wrap the towel around the star hitter's bat to keep it warm, and you're on the same team.
There are more towels and bundles being used in the Mets dugout as well. Meanwhile, Wade Boggs, Marty Barrett, and Bill Buckner coming up. Top of the 4th inning, no score. Strike. 0-1. On a cold night like this, if you are jammed or if you hit one off the end of the bat, you'll feel it until Game 7 if there be such an animal.
Game 1 of spring training.
In there again. Bill Darling, who has had a high of 12 strikeouts, and he turned it in twice against the Dodgers with throwing strikes, and he's had the edge against the hitter at almost every at-bat. 0-2. Got him. So Wade Boggs strikes out. He becomes strikeout victim number 3 for Darling, and the batter will be Marty Barrett.
I think it goes back to scouting report. You hear about pitchers, but until you face them, Boggs, who tries to program himself the day before and mentally picture 4 times at bat, he's just never faced Darling that much to where he can program himself.
Marty Barrett singled into the hole. Remember, he got a pitch away and poked it into right field. Tim Tuffle smothered it, but it went off his glove. Looked like a slider on the outside corner for a strike. 0-1.
That's what it was, and that's the one pitch that Marty guards against, because you watch him when he strides in, he goes right at that ball, and he'll hit it from the middle of the diamond to the right field line. They'll play him in right center field. Good man with the bat. He makes contact.
0-1, the count of Marty Barrett. 1-1. It's an Ivy League time of year. The retiring president, Chub Feeney, a Dartmouth man, will surrender the reins to a Yale man. Ron Darling went to Yale. Nobel Prize winner, was a professor of chemistry at Harvard. So it's a big year for the Ivy League. 1-2. And of course, what a year for Boston. with the Patriots in the Super Bowl, the Celtics winning the NBA, John McNamara's band in the World Series. What a year.
Good old Vinny Orlando next to him. Boy, what memories he has. He's been with the Red Sox a long time.
1 ball and 2 strikes to count. Interesting to see Don Baylor sitting in the bench gesturing to one of his teammates. 1 and 2 in the dirt. You know, when you think about it, with Buckner playing, Don Baylor tonight anyway is right back where he was when he played for the Yankees, on the bench with a right-hander pitching. And of course, this time it's because there's no DH in the National League Park.
But he knows he's going to get a chance. Over there, he was hoping he'd get a chance.
He'd get his hacks at Fenway. 2 and 2 to Marty.
He shook him all the way around.
Marty, very tough man to strike out. Only 31 times all year. However, Kirk McCaskill got him twice in 1 game in the LCS. He has 2 strikes. And chased it.
That's the pitch he tries to guard against, but they got him this time, and I would say that the Mets scouts did a pretty good job on scouting Marty Barrett.
What's very interesting with all the numbers, and you talk about it, none of it really means anything because they've never seen each other. It's not as if you're playing against American League pitchers who know you and you know them.
It's out of the strike zone, but with 2 strikes, you're going to protect against it. And again, you may hear about a pitcher, but until you face him, you have to make up your own mind.
2 down. Here's Buckner, and the only surprise strategically so far was in the first inning with Barrett, the leading base stealer at first and 1 out. And John McNamara, knowing Buckner has a bad leg, you should see him just hobbling. Barrett's not upset, gum chewing. But they didn't put a play on, and Buckner, who doesn't strike out, hit into a double play. Throws his bat and lips it into left field. Well, we were talking about how he is teaching himself to take a full swing, and as the bat gets across the plate, take the top hand off. Well, both hands came off.
He just was completely fooled and threw the bat at the ball. Now he's back, Charlie Lau, and he just throws the bat at the ball, and I tell you, running down to first base, well, they good-naturedly kid him about being Hopalong Cassidy. I tell you, when your requirement for a hotel room, the most important thing is to be near the ice machine so you can ice down your legs. That tells you something about the determination of that fellow.
And you know what? With all of his injuries, he missed only 8 games all year.
And hasn't complained yet.
No. Well, here's Jim Rice, grounded to third. They are not even bothering to hold Buckner on. I was going to say that would be a travesty if Hernandez was on the bag. Hernandez is going to play deep in back of the, can you say runner? 1 ball and no strikes. Billy Bucks giving it his best shot down there and obviously in pain. Fouled away. 1 and 1.
Well, the tip-off on Buckner, and he's admiration from everybody. He said he hurt his leg in the workout. He said, how are we going to be able to tell whether your leg is hurting? I mean, he just looks like Hopalong.
When he takes his stockings off in the dressing room, his left leg is much thinner than the right leg. His left leg has atrophied because of all the bandaging. The muscle has been unable to work. Fouled away. And with all of that, he's playing. And with all of that, would you believe he was the 2nd man on the Red Sox in stolen bases? And he was. He amassed a grand total, and he's wearing it on his back. 6.
The cliche calls the player who loves the game gamer. You're looking at 2 of the best.
Oh, yeah. We've got 2 down, top of the 4th, no score. And Jim Rice, who grounded to third, the hitter. And 2. In the dirt to the backstop, and Buckner still can labor down to second base. So that takes him out of an easy force play.
Watch how when he starts, Buckner, it's almost like he needed jumper cables to get it going. He's watching it all the way. You know, this is one thing that Rice has done this year in choking up on that bat like he has. He just wants to hit the ball hard and put it in play. And he's done a pretty good job of it as you look at his average.
Well, that wild pitch, as you can see, is thrown by a fella who led the Mets in that area. However, it's some consolation. He has lost a possible force play, but he's not really worrying at all about Buckner scoring on a single. 2-2 to Jim Rice. Ball 3 on deck. Dwight Evans, who almost took Darling deep. Two. Dwight Evans does a Jesse Barfield on deck. Fouled away. Jesse Barfield, playing for Toronto, what a great outfielder. Barfield uses the on-deck circle as a home plate, and he assumes his batting stance and tries to time the pitcher's delivery. I remember Richie Ashburn telling a story about Sal Magley threw one at him when he was doing that in the on-deck circle.
A couple pitchers would do that.
However, he at least stays near the on-deck circle. Fastball fouled away, and he jammed him. Now, that was the book. If you're going to give Rice a fastball, eat him up inside on the hands.
But you're also playing near the gas tank when you do that, because if you get that ball out a little bit, and I would say if you miss by 6 inches, which is not a whole lot to miss, and miss that 6 inches towards the plate, you're going to be behind because he can hit out of any park.
3-2, the count to Jim Rice. Buckner at second, 2 out in the 4th, no score. And he's high and away. So the Sox now have runners at first and second. That's the first walk given up by Darling. And with 2 on and 2 out, Dwight Evans coming up. We're talking about Darling having to come inside. It's the best story to come out of spring training of '86, and it's alive all year, not to embarrass the pitcher. But it was Jim Leland of Pittsburgh who said to one of his pitchers, "You're going to have to pitch inside." And the pitcher said, "Have I been traded to Houston?" No. But once in a while, even if you have average or below average, you got to come inside. Darling got away with it. Evans hit a ball to left center that would have gone out except for the wind. Breaking ball fouled away. Dangerous, too. He got it up.
That was a mistake that Evans just tried to capitalize on and just couldn't. High curveball. There's no other way to put it. You talk about Walt Riniak, the batting coach, and you talk about Charlie Lau theory. Here's the perfect example of it. Watch how he gets back on that back foot. He'll wave that bat low and then get it back, set it on his toe in the front foot, and he's ready.
0-1. You know, Darling a year ago was a wild man, but now he has cut his walks down by a third this year.
Just didn't get it.
0-2, the count to Dewey Evans. 2 on, 2 out, no score. High fly ball into left field. Mookie says he has it. He's there. He's got it. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. And at the end of 3.5 innings, the Red Sox nothing and the Mets nothing.
Well, Dr. Tom Earhart.
The leader in long-distance service now costs less. AT&T has lowered weekday and evening prices 13.8%, the largest single reduction in our history, but not the first. Since 1984, our prices overall have dropped more than 20%. Of course, you can always look to AT&T for the highest quality service, and now, see where our prices have gone. AT&T, the right choice.
To know no boundaries, to let yourself run free. To know no boundaries is what the world should be.
Wherever there are investment opportunities, Merrill Lynch is there with the help you need to make the most of them. Because at Merrill Lynch, we believe your world should know no boundaries.
To know no boundaries.
It's brewed in America and in other great beer-drinking countries. It's the only beer that must, by license and authority, always use Bavarian hops for flavor. And be sent back to Munich to be tested by German brewmasters, tested for taste and quality. It's Lowenbrau. And that's how you get 600 years of Bavarian heritage in one smooth American beer.
This world calls for Lowenbrau right now.
April 14th. America attacks Libya.
NBC broke the story first.
In times of crisis, rely on NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
The big minuet used cash. I think it was a pledge.
Anonymously, he should have done it.
Burbank, California. Would you believe a Goodyear blimp first appeared at the 1925 World Series, won by the Pirates over the Washington Senators in 7 games? Here's Darryl Strawberry. He'll be followed by Ray Knight and then Tim Tuffle. No score in the 4th. And those little stats that we gave you early in the game are holding up. The first game of the World Series is usually a well-pitched game. Ball 2. Strawberry has a hitch as we see Dwight Gooden with a mouthful of tobacco, who'll be going tomorrow night against Roger Clemens in Game 2.
Watching Hurst between innings warming up, he threw mostly curveballs, and he started Strawberry off with the curveball. And there you see that little bit of a hitch that Vin was talking about. But if you're a good hitter, that is called a timing mechanism.
Yeah, but it's another reason why he struck out 12 times against Houston, and he struck out his first time tonight. So he is in a strikeout rut.
That's a hitch when you strike out.
Yeah, he loops that bat. 2-2. Laid off that one. 3-2 the count. Strawberry had a long month of August, and he checks in against Bruce Hurst with a count of 3 balls and 2 strikes. Darryl went 0 for August, fouls it away. In the month of August at Shea Stadium, this fellow who amassed all the votes for the All-Star game went 0 for 45 before the home crowd. That's OH.
That was a curveball, 3-2, so he showed plenty of respect for Strawberry. And keep in mind, big guy can run, likes to run, and has the green light. He can go anytime he thinks he gets a jump. He doesn't have to wait for a sign.
That's a second walk going into this inning, so Hurst now has walked 3 while striking out 4. He's given up 2 hits. Now, Ray Knight is a good hit-and-run man. He does not have good speed. And if Johnson's going to use the running game, he might try that hit and run right now. Strawberry held on by Buckner. Knight was another fella, at least during the LCS, who was trying to pull everything. There's one reason why he was complaining about strikes on the outside part of the plate, because Knight was opening up on almost every pitch, and he couldn't really judge that ball away. He's a high ball hitter, and you can bet Hurst is going to try and keep it down and get him to hit it on the ground. In there at the knees for a strike. 0-1. Interesting, this baseball world. Ray Knight succeeded Pete Rose in Cincinnati. John McNamara succeeded Sparky Anderson as the manager, and the Reds won the West. That was in '79. Now they're against each other. Interesting, too, that Knight was 3rd in the batting race that year. It was won by Keith Hernandez. The next year, who led the National League in hitting? Bill Buckner. And they're all in this duel. 0-1. The reason they like to play hit and run with Knight is because he hits into so many double plays. He hit into 19. Second on the club to Gary Carter. No score, 4th inning. 0-2. Boy, what a lot of motion, and then the fork.
He uses it as an off-speed pitch, and very effectively, as you saw by that.
Pretty hard to wait back on that. Knight way out in front of it. 0-2.
I'd look for him right here. Strawberry's got some ideas.
Nobody out's going to draw a throw.
Always on the bench, you say, well, they don't have the pitch out on. Gedman.
Yeah, just looked over to see.
He's checking because he'll get some help from that bench.
Strawberry doesn't go. And it's fisted foul off to the right and well out of play. So the count stays 0-2. At 6-6. When he goes, he's a little bit like Ichabod Crane, but he gets the job done. He's holding. And it's hit foul down the right field line. Off-speed pitch, and it looked like Knight was going to try and hit it inside out.
Oh, he was looking for that one. He's a little disappointed he didn't put it in play because he was going the right way. He was waiting on it, was going to go to the opposite field. He's got that gap between first and second, and it was all set for him. He just didn't get it.
Strawberry at first on a walk. Fourth inning, no score. Knight will be followed by Tuffle. Remember, the Mets have one stolen base, and Buckner was almost picked off by Hurst. Buck started to come off the bag.
With that shot, when you see Strawberry, his eyes darting back and forth, he's looking to Robinson for a confirmation.
0-2. Strawberry has increased his lead just a tad now. And there he goes. And the off-speed pitch fouled away. So Strawberry took maybe one more foot. If I were a scout, I'd really start to watch his lead, because that apparently was a tip-off he was going to go.
I would watch more the way he was looking ahead, looking to the eyes, because he kept darting, looking for confirmation from, that's a straight steal. Now he finds the ball, but you could see something was on. He wanted to make sure, and many times that's what you look for. The base runner will tell you something.
Well, he kind of tipped the message that time. 0-2. We'll watch and see if he takes the same lead. Fourth inning, no score. The Mets have one stolen base. Wilson stole second in the third inning. Mel Stottlemyre talking to manager Davy Johnson. 0-2. He's holding. Fouled away. Bruce Hurst has been in trouble in the sense pitching out of a stretch as we look at his honor the mayor of New York. Ed Koch. 0-2 the count. Remember, the Angels had only one stolen base in their games against the Red Sox. The Mets have already gotten one stolen base in the first 3 innings. And you can bet that's going to be a major portion of their game plan. 0-2. The Red Sox are very conscious of the Mets running game, so we're going to see a lot of that. That's one reason, I guess, why Gedman has thrown out 50% of the runners. It's a tribute to those pitchers. They do a good job of holding the runners on.
Especially Hurst and Clemens. They really do a good job. He had 50% as far as throwing people out during the season. Gedman didn't. 4 out of 5 in the LCS. That tells you something. You give him half a chance, he'll get the job done, and Hurst certainly does that. Throwing over there all the time, that just takes the spring out of the runner's legs. Boy, I used to like that when pitchers did that.
And the other thing is to keep applying heavy tags.
Oh, yeah.
Keep punching him in the leg. 0-2.
Punch him anywhere.
Overhand and high. Little forkball. It must be very difficult for each pitcher to get a good grip on the ball. And you just saw Hurst kind of arch his back. If you sit in the dugout for any time at all, you're going to stiffen up in the cold. The crowd is bundled up. 1 ball and 2 strikes. High pop fly on the left side, and it's Boggs calling. So Knight pops it up, 1 down. Strawberry is still at first. The batter will be Tim Tuffle. And once again, we'll remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ballgame.
Second baseman, Tim Tuffle.
Tim Tuffle struggled against Houston. He's got some sock. Remember, the first game of the week we did this year, it was a tip-off on Tuffle. Davy Johnson let him swing 3-0. He is a definite hit-and-run man. I mean, you can almost put a star on that now. He singled a left field, remember, in the second inning. Strawberry increasing it a tad. Doesn't go. Strike.
That's the thing when you talk about scouts watching the ball club. That's what the player wants to know. Who runs, who plays hit and run, who is hot. And you just guard against it. You know what they can do. It's when. That's the thing.
No balls and 1 strike to Tim Tuffle. Just a side straddle throw over to first. No big move on it. And as yet, the Mets have not tried to bunt. They have not tried to exploit Buckner at first. Yeah. Fouled away down the right field line, way out of play, and the count 0-2. John McNamara, a catcher in his playing days, pitched briefly. As we mentioned, managed 5 ball clubs: the A's, San Diego, Cincinnati, California, and the Red Sox. And how sweet it must have been for him to beat California.
They compare him a lot to Gil Hodges, and I think the same expression goes for John. Controlled aggression.
0-2 to Tuffle. Interesting, too, you have John McNamara, an ex-catcher, and the chief executive officer of the Red Sox, an ex-catcher. You have Davey Johnson of the Mets, a second baseman, and the general manager, Frank Cashin, was a second baseman at Loyola in Baltimore. Maybe they think a lot alike. There goes Strawberry. The pitch is missed at the plate. Darrell is in there easily.
Tough ball to handle, and I think they may have caught him a little bit by surprise. You can see Getman blowing on those hands, but it was a tough ball to handle. Straight steal. There's that head. Looking to the bag. High throw.
Shortstop.
Watch where the ball is. One-handed. He gets behind it, but he kind of 3/4 it and didn't get that much on it.
So 5 strikeouts for Bruce Hurst. Darrell Strawberry at second, and Rafael Santana coming up. The second stolen base for the Mets. The Mets had first and second and 2 out in the second inning. First and second, 2 out in the third. And there's a line drive into right center. Hendu is there to handle it. No runs, no hits, no errors, and Strawberry left on base. Now we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Sunday on Our House, will Gus's idea of an old-time Halloween prank
We got creative.
ruin the family holiday?
One of your kids might have some trouble coming at him.
Working at the Golden Nugget is exciting.
Exciting.
That's right. You know who stays in this room? Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra.
You know who slept in that bed? Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers is my favorite.
And you know who bit this toast? Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton is the best.
And this is the room where they make the Golden Nugget commercials with Steve.
Who?
Steve.
Real Gold, a striking new collection by Sales. Lavishly sculpted jewelry you must have now, because nothing else feels like real gold. Own the feeling. Wrap yourself in the Real Gold collection. A limited offering by Sales Jewelers, leading with style.
It's shocking. Many new car engines are breaking down. The problem? Clogged fuel injectors. While a few gasolines claim to clean them, only one guarantees it. Arco. This is the Arco guarantee. Arco Super Unleaded cleans fuel injectors and keeps them clean, or we clean them for free. So fill up with Arco Super Unleaded. It's guaranteed to clean.
The People versus Gene Harris, tonight, right after the World Series.
Here's Dave Henderson making that catch on the ball hit by Rafael Santana, and Strawberry is left in scoring position. Friends, tonight's game is brought to you by Honda All-Terrain Vehicles. Come ride with us, and we'll show you America. And by UPS for express delivery to Europe and throughout the United States. UPS runs the tightest ship in the shipping business.
Vin, Ron Darling in 4 innings has made 53 pitches, 39 strikes, 14 balls. That tells you something. And he's getting his first pitch over for a strike. 10 of the 14 first pitches were for strikes. So he's in command.
And here is Rich Gedman now, then followed by Dave Henderson, and then Spike Owen.
Good first ball hitter.
Likes it up, so he gets it down. Ball 1, 1-0. It has been a long, tragic year for Rich Gedman, losing his father and stepsister, and he has held up admirably. Fouled away. Remember the concern in Boston when he took a foul ball off the bat of Dave Winfield. It hit him on the shoulder. He missed the final 3 games. But he came right back. They say he doesn't like off-speed pitches, that he's that rare left-hand hitter who likes the ball up. 1-2, and that got Carter. Now, that was a classic case of Gedman getting the top hand off the bat. A classic case. And Carter got it bell rung.
Gets him right on his side. He comes way around. It's like a windmill. There's the hand going off, and boom. What you try to do when you get that close is get that low pitch, but that's the risk you run.
And Reniak is thinking, I told you to get your hand off the bat, but not to follow through like that. That's a mean shot. You take a lick like that?
Yes, sir. More than once. More than once.
There's the hand, and then there's the bat. One reason why Carter wears a helmet, thank goodness. 1-2. Squirts it foul up along third.
Then you talk about liking the ball up, and it's true. Most guys do really like the ball up because they can see it better. And I've heard all kinds of pitching theories why you should pitch down. Kurt Simmons had one. He said that you should pitch down because if the bat was at the knees, then you'd pitch up. That's where the action is, where the bat is. It's a little left-handed theory, but then again, pitchers come up with them. I know pitchers say throw it down the middle. High balls hit over it, and low ball hitters will swing under it.
He came to play, didn't he? Or at least to watch. 2-2. Foul ball. So Rich still up there. He's been beating that right leg to pieces, so he's wearing that little plastic shin guard. Of course, that's a sign of a big league hitter anyway. If he's going to foul a ball, it's going to be off the front foot, the front leg. Certainly not the back leg. If your bat is that late, you're not in the big leagues. 2-2. 5th inning, no runs, 2 hits for each side. The Sox have been a little quiet. They've had 1 chance. That was in the 4th inning. And that takes care of Rich.
That was way out of the strike zone. Looked like that fork ball or split finger fastball.
So that's 5 strikeouts for Darling to match Hurst's 5. And the batter will be Dave Henderson.
Center fielder.
Take another look at it.
Henderson.
Good spot. He missed it by a good foot.
And again, you see that left hand not on the bat. That's the theory, part of the theory. Now, you're not swinging the bat one-handed. You're letting go after you've made contact, if you're lucky.
But every hitter, and Reniak preaches that, every hitter can't adjust to that. The hitter, it's like a puzzle. You have to fit that final piece, and the hitter has to be receptive. Gedman is, Evans is, a lot of hitters. Buckner, yeah, he changed. That's the 3rd one.
You know, Buckner said in spring training of '85, when he first started, he hit about .020, and all of the Red Sox were concerned. They thought, hey, he's finished. What's going on? And he said, no, just stay with me. And of course, he's had big years now.
I tell you, we get to Fenway. If Ted Williams is there, get in a discussion about that theory with him.
Can I get to the booth?
Oh, brother.
1-1 to Dave Henderson. He's got a sore right knee, but as you can see, he's playing. Tony Armas says that the ankle he hurt in the LCS is okay and he could play. There's Tony. However, John McNamara has opted for Dave Henderson. 2-1. Hit right by the mound and whistled into center. So Hendu comes up with a base hit. He's 1 for 2. And that's 3 hits off Darling. And it'll bring up Spike Owen with 1 out.
For the sake of completing the thought, Vin, I just want to say,
shortstop,
so nobody misunderstands it, Ted Williams is not a proponent of the Charlie Lau theory.
I wouldn't think so.
I just didn't want any doubt about that.
When Carter goes to Fenway Park, it will be almost blasphemy to call him the kid. I mean, you can't call anybody the kid in Fenway.
There's only one kid.
That's right. Only one. In Boston. Well, here's Spike. The biggest game that Spike had this year, when he scored 6 runs in a game. The only other American League player to accomplish that, ironically, was Johnny Pesky, who played for Boston.
There's that good move. He got it too high.
Take a look at it.
Watch him put something on it when he comes over there. Comes set, and I mean, it's almost like he's pitching.
That's what we were saying at the start of the game. Every runner in the National League knows all about the fake, phony, commercial move. They know Darling's got a good one. Ball 1. 1-0. That's all part of his pattern. Owen looking down to Rene Latchman to see if Latch might put on a play. Feeling that there might be a hit and run play on, and Henderson looks like he's braced and at the ready.
Well, you got a combination up there, and obviously he'd like to at least stay away from the double play to get the pitcher up there.
For John McNamara, after managing in the American League, this is really a jolt. Foul back. In other words, John managed in the National League at San Diego and Cincinnati. But John has to be thinking as an American League manager, and then all of a sudden they say, now you're a National League manager. You have to send your pitcher up to hit, and you have to think about pinch hitters and taking them out of the game.
Davey Johnson, before the game, talking about that, he says the adjustment's going to be tougher on McNamara than it will be on him.
Yeah, having a DH is kind of a walk in the park. 1-1. The count is Spike Owen. We're in the top of the 5th inning. And that first game philosophy has held up so far. It's in the hands of the pitchers, albeit cold hands, Ron Darling and Bruce Hurst.
There it was again. I tell you, Henderson just better not think about anything else but watching him, because with that move, you can't leave a wake-up call. You have to do it yourself. He about had him. If he gets a little bit on the right side, just a tad, he would have nailed him.
1 ball and 1 strike to Spike Owen. And Hendu fakes, and the ball is hit down the right field line, foul and out of play. Another change of role, of course, is for Spike Owen. During the regular year, Spike had 9 sacrifices. He's a good bunter. But when you have the pitcher coming up behind you, that takes a weapon away. Certainly at Shea, not at Fenway. 1-2 the count. 1 out, 5th inning. No runs, 3 hits for the Sox. No runs, 2 hits for the Mets. Dave Henderson. We said he had a tender right knee, but he looks like he's in the mood to do some running. Two and 2. Again, we repeat. The Red Sox had the fewest number of stolen bases in the major leagues for the 4th straight year.
Henderson really giving Latchman a long extra look, and those are the kind of things that when you're watching the base runner, the flag goes up. You say, uh-oh, be careful.
1 out. Watching Darling, totally uninhibited as far as throwing to first base. There is a Mets pitcher during the series, we might see it, who hates to throw to first. Hit in the air, and Lenny Dykstra is right there. 2nd out, and back to first goes Henderson.
Then with Hurst coming up, they got him with fastballs. They didn't even fool around. And I just wonder if that's what they're going to continue to do, because when they asked Davey Johnson about it, he said, we're going to give him gas.
You know, I'd like to conclude the thought. At the same time, I don't want to get into a scouting report. There is a Mets pitcher who doesn't like to throw to first. And during the series, if he's pitching, we'll have Keith Hernandez watched particularly closely, and you will see Hernandez actually gesture to him, throw me the ball, only because the pitcher doesn't like to go over there. 0-1 the count. Remember, Bruce Hurst, first major league at bat, struck out, and here he is again. 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. I don't think it's right that I should mention the pitcher's name. I think I'm getting into dead waters, and it's not the point anyway. We just want to talk about throwing to first.
Before the game, Hurst walked through with 2 bats, and somebody asked him if he was looking for the plug.
1-1. Strike. Good eye. I can hear him saying, what a time to swing the bat. I have to pitch at Shea. I have to come to the plate in the World Series. Henderson at first, 2 out, 5th inning, no score. See if his top hand comes off the bat.
I just want to see his body stay in the batter's box. I'll tell you, it's tough to ask a guy who hasn't hit all year. He's like for 0 for 10 years has been his slump because he hadn't had the opportunity, and here he is.
And with the bases loaded. All right, Bruce, nice swing. Way to go. Good eye. Isn't that what they say in the bench?
Hang in there.
Doesn't strike out. Hang in there. And at the end of 4 1/2, no score.
I just turned around for half a second, and boom, the whole thing went up.
Hottest day in the summer, and we end up loading that sucker twice.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you remember the look at old man Donovan's face?
After that, I never thought he'd bring out that keg like that.
That was good draft. I remember that beer.
When you're drinking new Miller Genuine Draft, it'll remind you of the best beer you ever had, because it is Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for real draft smoothness. Miller Genuine Draft. It's beer at its best.
How come Donovan never asked us back?
Today's Equitable has new ideas in financial planning that can help pay for the home you live in or build you a vacation home. Today's Equitable, your key to financial opportunity. Our new ideas not only protect you, but can help send your kids to college. Today's Equitable, your key to financial opportunity. Our agents and financial planners can show you new ways to make high returns on your money.
We are the edge.
Your key to financial opportunity.
Who are you calling? You've been on the phone forever.
The Air Express Company. They won't pick up the phone.
Hold it. If you'd called Federal Express, you wouldn't be having this problem. Come with me. You see, Federal has the most advanced communication system in the business.
I didn't know that.
And this lets us respond to calls in seconds and give you information quicker.
I didn't know that.
Next time, call Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
I think I'll call Federal. Then maybe I'll get this stupid phone off my ear.
4 years ago, Ford Escort became the world's best-selling car. And over those years, we've improved its engine, suspension, and interior. There is one thing, however, we couldn't improve upon. For 4 years running, it's still the world's best-selling car. This is Escort.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Will start it off. Darling struck out in the 3rd inning.
Before that pitch, Vin, Hurst had made 76 pitches, 48 strikes, 28 balls, 10 of 17 first pitches for strikes.
And there's a drive into the alley in left center. Coming over, however, to handle it is Dave Henderson. So Darling, who, as we mentioned, is a pretty good hitter, hit that hard enough, but Hendu ran it down. 1 away.
They'll give him a chance to get to the bench as we watch this. He really breaks into the hole in good shape, Henderson, and really has to wait for it as it dies. Now, we told the people how much Minuet paid for Manhattan. Yeah. Who's the pitcher?
What, who doesn't like to throw
Who doesn't like to throw to first base?
What am I going to get?
$24.
And a picture of you in uniform?
Yeah, in uniform.
That'll clinch the deal. Okay. Here's Mookie Wilson. Sid Fernandez hates to throw to first, the left-hander, the happy, pleasant, good-natured Hawaiian. There he is. And Keith actually has to gesture. Come here, come over to me.
That's not really new. I'm telling you, we had a pitcher at Pittsburgh. When they asked him why he didn't throw over, he gave a great reason. He said, I don't want to expose my bad move.
Okay. 1-1, ball 2. know the scouting report years ago on Kurt Simmons was that he hated to throw to first. So you'd think a left-hander would find it very easy.
But if you have a bad move, why show it to him?
That's right. 3-1. Well, if one thing, the Red Sox might or might not try to exploit a pitcher who doesn't like to throw to first, since running is not that much a part of their game. Hit to right field. Evans fading, and Dewey is there. So 2 down in the 5th inning. No score. And the batter will be Len Dykstra.
Here's what Dykstra does to a ball club. Now, there are 2 outs. Nothing has happened yet. And you say to yourself when he walks up there, even with 2 outs, he might bunt to try to get something started. So he gets you thinking. He's already pulled Wade Boggs in close at 3rd. So he's got you thinking before he gets in that batter's box, and that's always a plus for your ball club when you got a guy like that.
He is listed at 5'10", but there are those who tell you he's 5'8" on his toes. But when you see a kid like Dykstra, you remember that old line about little guys must prove they can play. Big guys have to prove they can play. Right. Well, he has proven he can play.
I tell you, I've seen it. I've seen little guys hit the ball over the fence 4 or 5 times in batting practice or tryout camp. They'll say, I'd like to see him do that again. Some big donkey will get up to pop it up and say, boy, if he ever gets a hold of one, look out.
That's right. 0-2. He's listed at about 160 pounds. 4-1. When he hit that home run against Dave Smith to win the game and set this place on its ear. He had that great line, did it ever happen to you before? And he said, yeah, playing with my brother in a game called Stratomatic, where you roll the dice and then whatever the dice show, you make that play off a card. Deuce is wild on Dykstra. Bottom of the 5th, no score. Bruce Hurst comes into this game in good shape. He's had 5 complete games in his last 7 starts, and he has put up good numbers, especially the 5 strikeouts.
Well, that game he pitched against Toronto in Fenway was just a great game to clinch it.
2-2. Got him. So that's 6 strikeouts for Bruce Hurst. The Mets go quietly, and at the end of 5, no score.
Nearly 80 million people have the security of health care coverage when and where they need it. They couldn't picture their lives without it. Could you?
Why just eat at home tonight when cooking with Cheese Glorious Cheese can take you anywhere? Try a taste of Texas with a Colby tamale pie. Warm up to a bowl of Yankee seafood and Gouda chowder. Or bake up a Chicago deep dish pizza with lots of mozzarella. Visit your dairy case today for your free regional cheese recipes and enter the Cook Regional with Cheese sweepstakes. You can win some real tasty prizes.
Y'all ever been to Georgia?
We're MCI, racing hard to be your communications company. We never coast. We're geared to win. MCI competes internationally, offering you the world's most extensive range of voice, data, and messaging services. Our competition is good. We have to be better. And because we compete, you win. MCI, communications for the next 100 years.
Now, the point of this game is to hit a ball over the green monster. On my planet, it was different. The green monster would hit the ball over all of us.
Now, Monday.
For a pitcher and catcher, there's always a game within a game. Here's Boggs against Darting his last time up. Boggs programs himself. Will he be right or wrong? Takes the fastball strike. Takes the fastball strike. And if you're looking all in the same spot, low and outside, they get him. So obviously they made up their mind. We're not going to give him any off-speed pitches, and the fastball is going to be low and away. And that time they got him. And that's the best hitter in the American League. He led it.
Look at that, only 46 swinging strikes.
He takes that first pitch with the theory that and it's really one that's been around. Take the first pitch. If it's a strike, you know they're going to come back with it. And if it's a ball, you're ahead of the pitcher.
He's got happy thoughts on his mind, as well as the World Series. His wife, Debbie, is great with child, and they will name the baby Brett. The godfather will be George Brett. Ball one.
Split finger.
The last American League batting champion to appear in a World Series before Boggs was George Brett. Comebacker, and Darling, a good fielder, stays with it.
Boggs uses the center of the diamond and hits it right back to Darling.
Boy, and on a cold night, he's going to feel this.
He's in pretty good position. He got that right on the fingertips. You could see even before he threw it, just kind of flicked that glove as if to say a little stinger there.
Here's Marty Barrett, who's the best bunter on the team. Knight comes up a step about even with the bag at third. Ball one.
You could see him looking around, too, Vinny, to see where the defense was. And also, remember, it was an outside pitch that got him the last time, and that's the one pitch he likes to protect himself against. You got to like this guy.
2-0. Those who watch the Red Sox every day, all year long, did not find it that surprising that Marty Barrett would win the MVP. And very humbly, Marty said, hey, there's so much attention paid to Boggs and Rice, and I get all those 3-1 fastballs.
I just can't. I'm riveted to that back foot. It's a definite move. With this shot, you see it, and you ask him why.
2 balls, 1 strike. 1 out, 6th inning, no score. Fouled away. He might have been trying to take a shot to right, and the count 2-2. He hit .367 in the LCS. He had 39 chances without an error. Watch the back foot.
Watch it. There it goes. Now, there has to be a reason, but we can't figure it out.
Just timing mechanism, I guess.
No, he doesn't know why he doesn't know.
No.
That's
2-2.
great. Don't change.
Ball 3. I remember interviewing a pitcher after a shutout once. Before every pitch, he grabbed the back of his shirt. Every pitch. And when I asked him why he did it after the game, he said, I don't do that. I said, you did it every pitch. He said, I didn't know that. 6th inning, 1 out, no score. And Jim Rice, along with his thoughts, he's due to hit 4th in the inning. 3-2. Fastball hit in the air to right center, but Strawberry is going to be there to handle it. 2 down in the 6th. So Barrett going with the pitch the other way, and that'll bring up Bill Buckner.
Now batting, first baseman Bill Buckner.
Bill Buckner grounded into a double play in the 1st inning, and then literally threw his bat at the ball in the 4th inning and singled to left. Got as far as second base on a wild pitch. It's interesting, we're talking a great deal about the Charlie Lau theory of hitting. Buck fouls it away and taking your top hand off the bat after you have made contact and you're through the zone. Walt Reniak, the first base coach, the pride of Natick, Massachusetts, had only 99 at-bats in his major league career, and he's the hitting instructor. And I'm sure happy for him to make the big leagues. So now he can tell Doug Flutie and Joe Coleman to move over.
He's the first guy from that town to make the big leagues.
Make the series.
I mean the World Series.
Yeah. 0-1. Joe Coleman pitched for Detroit, so he got a little taste of big league action.
You know, when you talk about him, how many times at bat in the big leagues, how about when Mike Jorgensen was released by the Cardinals because he couldn't hit, they made him the minor league hitting instructor. So you don't hire a guy by his averages.
No.
It's what he knows.
And what kind of a teacher he is. Do as I say, not what I do. 0-2 the count to Billy Bucks with 2 out in the 6th. No score. Breaking ball, and that got Carter. Gary Carter was bobbing and weaving, digging that thing out.
Trying to get the low pitch.
At the end of 5 1/2, no score.
Small pig
pickups are fun rangers. Small pickups are no strangers in. Small pickups are fun rangers from Ford. Well, they're big on small, overall, large on little, except in the middle. Well, I want my fun ranger. Well, I want my fun ranger. Well, I want my fun ranger around here.
Ford Ranger, built fun tough.
Draft beer. It's always been the smoothest, freshest beer around, poured straight from the tap. And now there's a true draft beer in a bottle. Miller Genuine Draft. It's not heat pasteurized like most bottled beers. It's cold filtered for real draft smoothness. Miller Genuine Draft. It's beer at its best.
Leave it. We gotta go.
I own an insurance agency. I knew people would be coming to me to help them put their lives back together.
George.
I called Aetna.
You've got 4 computer terminals coming down air freight tomorrow. We'll restore...
When you've got the best in the business behind you, you're covered. You can do some things.
He is the most enigmatic of athletes. Ask him of his victory, and he will praise his partner. Mention his role, and he'll reply with a smile, I was just riding to work.
In the bottom of the 6th inning, no score in the ball game. Keith Hernandez, followed by Gary Carter, and then Darryl Strawberry. Hernandez flied to center in the 1st inning, fouled out in the right field corner to Dewey Evans in the 3rd. The Mr. Consistency of the New York Mets. Ball 1. To back up the point, in 1984, Keith hit .311. In 1985, he hit .309. So, in 1986, he hit .310. 2-0. 94 walks are Hurst up against a man who knows the strike zone. Bruce has pitched very well. He has limited the Mets to 2 hits while striking out 6.
He thought that was a strike, and so did the bench, but Kibler motioned that the ball was high.
2-0. In there.
Great piece of pitching there. He had to come in with the fastball, but he was going to keep it to the outside part of the plate. He wasn't going to give him a ball he could pull.
2-1. Just missed. 3-1. So Hurst now is behind to a very knowledgeable hitter with Carter and Strawberry coming up. Three balls, 1 strike. And that's what he did all year long. Opens up the inning with a walk. 4 walks given up by Bruce Hurst. And the batter will be Gary Carter. Remember earlier, John McNamara appeared to be upset about Hurst's control, and he had Al Nipper get up in the bullpen. There is no action down there for the moment. Gary Carter grounded to second and hit into a force play. All year long, the big question was, would Carter's knee hold up? And it did. A busted bat hit up the middle for a base hit. Hernandez to second and holding. So Carter shatters his bat and gets a base hit to center.
It's out of the strike zone, and the bat just breaks in half.
How did he break the bat hitting it off the end of the bat? You'd think it would break it when you jam it.
No, end of the bat will do that.
I guess if he can swing it as hard as he can.
He didn't swing that hard at that, though. It just hit right off the end of the bat.
They're just not making trees like they used to. Steve Crawford gets up in the Boston bullpen. 2 on, nobody out. Strawberry, Knight, and Tuffle due up. There's Steve. Hurst, Gedman, and now Owen come to the mound to talk to Bruce Hurst. Hernandez at second, Carter at first. Nobody out, no score, 6th inning.
Just setting up who'll be covering in case the ball is hit back to Hurst.
Strawberry struck out in the 2nd inning and walked in the 4th. High pop foul and out of play. Strawberry tried so hard to time that off-speed pitch. Well, you talk about twisting and turning in the wind, and he still couldn't do it. 0-1. Boggs about even with the bag. The outfield is straight away, pinching the middle, so they're giving him the lines. In there. So now he has Strawberry by the neck, 0-2.
Boy, that was a big breaking curveball. That's the kind when you were a kid you called a drop.
Roy Campanella called it public enemy #1.
I agree.
0-2 to Darrell. Got him on the inside corner as Hurst picks up his 7th strikeout and gets Strawberry for the 2nd time tonight.
And usually in a spot like that, you'll see a pitcher work and try to set up a pitch. Not Bruce Hurst. He just went right after him, and then he throws it right there. Big curveball, and I'll tell you, when it breaks that much, that's like a scholarship to broadcasting school.
Yep. 1 away, and here's Ray Knight. Interestingly, he had an unusual game in July against the Astros. He struck out 4 times against left-handed Jim DeShays, and in the 10th inning hit a home run against left-handed Frank DePino for a tie and win it 6-5. Hot one to 3rd. Boggs down to 2nd for 1. On to 1st. Double play. No runs. 1 hit, 1 left. We got a dandy, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Sunday on Our House, will Gus's idea of an old-time Halloween prank
We got creative.
ruin the family holiday?
One of your kids might have some trouble coming at him.
The Olympic Games and Tom Bradley, the best Olympics in modern times.
When I began the drive to bring the Olympics to California, the politicians said it couldn't be done. I said we'd do it a new way, without taxed dollars, and we did.
Tom Bradley gave us an American Olympics with athletic excellence and a $200 million surplus. Tom Bradley, a gold medal leader for California.
I'm a saver over 60, saving safely every day. I earn bonus interest I can bank upon, saving the American way.
I get free checks, I get free checking. I get discounts on travel too. American Savings has a club for people over 60 with $5 services for you.
The American Patriots Club only at American Savings.
This young woman is about to repair her own car. As you watch, she's actually fixing one of the biggest problems facing today's engines: clogged fuel injectors. She's fixing it with Mobile Super Unleaded Gasoline. Its advanced detergent formula can unclog fuel injectors and give your car a new injection of power. Drive your engine clean with Mobile Super Unleaded, high octane with a plus.
The People versus Gene Harris, tonight, right after the World Series.
At the start of the game, it seemed like a rather insignificant note compared to all the notes we give you throughout the year and throughout the game and throughout the series. But it's true. The first game of the World Series, 9 of the last 14 years, the losing team has scored 2 runs or less. And traditionally, the first game is indeed a pitching battle the last few years.
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons for that, too, Vin. Of course, you can't even talk about it in terms of the LCS, as exciting as that was. But ballplayers, for one thing, go in the ticket business for the World Series. Guys you never heard from. I know when I played in the one I did, I heard from everybody in the Army except Eisenhower and MacArthur. The only 2 guys that didn't call me for World Series tickets. So that's a distraction. But I tell you, when you begin to settle down and start to play, it'll bust loose.
And remember, the pressure is here. Then there'll be a little pressure right now on Ron Darling as he looks down the gun barrel of Jim Rice, opening up the 7th inning. No score. Rice doing what he did so often against the Angels, chasing that breaking ball in the dirt. But if you make a mistake, bingo. 0-1. Each side with 3 hits. 1 ball, 1 strike. And you might have noticed Carter gesture with his arm once for Darling to get his arm up a little bit, dropping it, which is what happens when fatigue begins to set in. The 7th inning. Fouled away, and he really was coming over the top that time after the reminder.
And Carter, as always, he kind of takes a look at those hitters. He wants to see who the peakers are. We watched him a couple times during our regular game of the week. And
hey, by the way,
it's a good habit.
How about that story about Hernandez saying to him, if you call another fastball, we'll go at it right here and now?
Well, in the pregame show, it's great he explained it because Keith was trying to break some tension, but he did tell him that.
He was probably trying to break some tension today, but at the moment he was ready to fight him. Pitch inside. It was a good story anyway, breaking tension. I bet he meant it, because immediately Orozco threw nothing but sliders and struck out Kevin Bass, and it was over.
Well, he said as long as it was going along, it was okay, but when the tying run got on, that's enough.
2-2. Big overhand jug in the dirt. And I was wondering whether Kibler was going to look at that, and he'll throw it out. Meanwhile, he came to New York, but not to play, and that's a tragedy. Tom Seaver, now with the Red Sox, has a date with surgery. Can't make it. Would that have been a story? But we have stories galore. 3-2. Missed down and in with the pitch, and that's a walk to Jim Rice. The second pass given up by Ron Darling.
Stepping up to the plate, right fielder Dwight.
Now he has to face Dwight Evans. Let's take a look at Carter and his work behind the plate.
Well, he's looking all over now. You see Wigwag. Watch him look at first base now. He's checking everything and then finally picks up the ball.
Well, Rice is aboard with the walk. Dwight Evans had a look at Blatchman down at third to see if there might be a play aboard. Evans a long out to deep left center, and we truly believe the wind cut down a home run. And then in the 4th inning, he plied to left. Way out in front of that. Boy, that was a great move. And then you talk about pulling the string. He jerked his chain. 0-1.
Well, Evans will look for a pitch. You remember in Fenway when he hit the home run in that big game, he said, I was sitting on it, and if he gets it, he can pop it out of here. It's always, well, that game within a game we're talking about.
Rice at first, held on by Hernandez. Nobody out in the 7th, no score. Time. When you look at Dwight Evans up there, you have to remember he belongs in the Red Sox history book. Only Carl Yastrzemski, the great Yaz, and Bobby Doerr have played more games in a Boston uniform. The kid out of Santa Monica, Dewey Evans.
He can do a lot of things.
Boy from Honolulu by way of Millbury. Fouled off. 0-2. On deck, waiting his turn to have a rip, Rich Gedman. And again, we'll have that wonderful battle of the former high school kids, Darling and Gedman. 0-2. Darling, his wife, a most successful model in New York. Handsome kid. Majored in Southeastern Asian history when he was at Yale. Rice holds, and it's in the dirt, squirting over to the backstop, and finally run down by Carter. So a big break. They get Rice to second with nobody out. They take the force play away from the Mets, and they count 1-2 to Evans.
There's nothing you can do on this. A 55-footer, and it hits Carter right in the middle of the protector, a little bit to the left. Once again, it's that breaking pitch, and you can see Evans being the heads-up batter than he is. He says, go to second, and he kind of push. Carter's trying to get the ball, but he runs into Evans. You don't know where that ball is when it comes off you.
I'll tell you what was so obvious. Darling opened up so much. His left shoulder came out as he was making that pitch. He had to come up short. That's exactly what he did. It was his left shoulder that caused all the trouble. A comebacker. Darling will hold Rice and go to first. In other words, if you and I are looking at each other, and let's just say I'm left-handed, if I want to throw a punch at you, if I pull my right shoulder out, I'm going to be short. I can't reach you. In order for me to hit you, I have to keep my right shoulder in, and now I get to you. And that's what he did. His shoulder was so wide open, he had to throw the ball in front of the plate.
Well, that's the first thing that pitching coaches always look when guys get in trouble, is he flying open with the shoulder. It goes for a pitcher, it goes for a hitter. That could be a key play right there. Did not pick up the base with the out.
Here is Rich Gedman. Popped up and struck out against his old high school foe and hits a ground ball right through Tuffle. Here comes Rice around third to throw by Strawberry. He's in there. Down to second goes Gedman. And Tuffle was fooled by the bounce. And at home plate, a collision and timeout. Darling was going behind the plate to back up on the throw. And he arrived at the same time.
Jim Rice it's his hand, it looks like, too, and Darling is down.
It was Henderson who was coming up. Henderson wanted to give a sign and crashed into Darling. Henderson, the on-deck hitter, number 40.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
He's the man who got hurt. And Darling was in the right place, but up against the wrong man. He was just trying to back up, and the on-deck hitter was trying to indicate slide or no slide, and you had a remarkable collision. And Henderson, hurting that right hand and wrist, we'll see whether he can continue or not. Remember, Tony Armas has a bad ankle. Here's the play again. Watch. See, Henderson and Darling have already hit each other because Darling was in motion to get behind the plate, and Henderson was trying to get up there and indicate to Rice whether to slide or not. Boy, there's one for the books.
That is really a freaky play.
Meanwhile, Tuffle will draw an error, completely fooled on the erratic bounce. There's the collision. Now let's take a look at the ground ball, and you'll see what happened to Tuffle.
He's down there, just didn't come up. We talked about the possibility of the bad hops, and he was there in front of it. And the throw, it misses the cutoff man. That cost him a base, and the man who showed real disgust was Hernandez, the cutoff man. Because now 1 out, double play is not in order, a man in scoring position, so one error shows up and the other error will not show up in the box score, but that's a big base that Gedman was able to pick up.
Well, Henderson, who looks like the truck broke down on the way to the ballpark, is going to try and stay in there.
That was a freaky play.
I've never seen it. I've heard Terry Harper of the Atlanta Braves dislocated a shoulder trying to wave a runner home while he was the on-deck hitter, as we see the ball go through Tuffle again. That's the first time I've seen the on-deck hitter and the pitcher have a head-on collision. There they go. Heels over tea kettle. And right down the alley comes Rice with the run, and it is 1-0 Red Sox. And very importantly, you have Gedman at second base. So instead of 2 out and a runner at third, 1 out, a run in, and a runner at second, and Henderson trying to pick him up.
And the Mets have the reputation of manufacturing runs, but the Red Sox just did it with a walk, wild pitch, error.
And Carter now asking for time. He might be counseling Darling, might be thinking about changing signs, but I think he's also trying to give Darling a chance to pull himself together. It was Henderson who appeared to be the more injured of the two. It was his right hand and wrist. But Darling took a pretty good blindside hit as he was in motion trying to get behind the plate to back up. Dave Henderson flied to center and singled to center, 1 for 2. 1-0 Red Sox, 7th inning. Fouled away. And remember, tomorrow night it's the dream matchup. Dwight Gooden and Roger Clemens.
Roger Clemens had a great line as we look at Gooden when they asked him about pitching against Gooden. Clemens says, I'm not pitching against Gooden. I'm pitching for the Red Sox against the Mets.
0-1 to count. Fouled away. That line is more applicable, however, in the American League than in the National League, because he will be pitching to Gooden just as Dwight will be pitching to him. 0-2. Dave Henderson. Boy, what a glorious moment, huh? After the ball that Gritch hit went off his glove over the fence, he comes back to hit that big one in the ninth. Check 1-2. Rich Gedman standing at second base. He has shucked the shin guard that he wears when he's hitting. One away in the seventh. 1-0 Red Sox. Jim Rice talking about Henderson making a good blocking back, I think. One and two. Pop fly into shallow right. Hernandez looking for Strawberry, tagging up his Gedman, but I can't believe he's going anywhere, and he's not. All he wanted to do was to make Strawberry throw the ball and hope he might throw it away.
But I tell you, the Mets had it lined up perfectly. He threw it to Santana. Knight was behind him, and Darling, the good pitcher that he is, was backing up Knight, so they had it lined up. But Gedman did a good job in drawing the throw.
Now let's see. There is always a decision to make in the National League. You have a runner at second base and 2 out, and the pitcher coming up. Now, normally you might say, well, put this man on and let's strike out Hurst, and that'll be the end of that. There's no one throwing in the bullpen, and McNamara and his pitching coach Bill Fisher looking on. However, sometimes, not this time, they're going to walk on, but a lot of times a manager will say, go after that 8th place hitter. I want the pitcher to start the following inning. But this time they'll take the bat out of Owen's hand, and they'll go against Hurst, who is not, by the way, on deck. So it's been a tough inning for Ron Darling, opening up with a walk to Rice, then the wild pitch, the error by Tuffle, and now the intentional walk to Owen.
This is one of those situations we were talking about. Not that John would make a move, but you'd have to think about it. Do I pinch hit? Do I have somebody warming up? You have to do that 2 or 3 innings previous.
You know, I remember an expression about a guy who was cheap with a buck, and they said he gives up a buck as easily as he gives up a tattoo. Well, Davy Johnson gives up intentional walks about as easily as he gives up a tattoo. The Mets walked only 29 hitters intentionally all year, and no other National League team issued less than 55. Ball one. So it's a little rare to see him do it.
That it is. Now, they've been able to get him with nothing but fastballs. He's looking for his first major league hit. If he'd get one here, it'd be a triple celebration.
1 ball and no strikes to Bruce. Foul back. Hey, now he made contact.
He broke the slump right there. He just broke the slump.
Tried. His brother, who said, "Don't embarrass the family."
He got a piece
now
of
you
it.
didn't have to put that up there. What an awful thing to put up. He struck out every time at bat in the big leagues. The Bruce Hurst Marching and Chowder Society will not accept that graphic. 1-2.
Hang in there, Dewey says, and Bruce wants to say, I am.
I'm trying. Foul. So he's made contact twice.
Pitchers use the theory, I'm going to swing, and if the ball happens to be there where the bat is, look out.
Tell you one thing, I'm amazed that Strawberry's playing as deep as he is in right field.
He plays deep for everybody.
I guess that must be a nightmare if he thinks Hurst's going to hit one over his head. See you later, Bruce. However, a big run on a couple of walks and Tim Tuffle's error. And at the end of 6.5, Sox 1, Mets nothing.
Right now, ladies.
To know no boundaries, to let yourself run free. To know no boundaries is what the world should be.
Whether you're investing for your future or your children's future, our financial consultants can show you more opportunities than ever before. Because at Merrill Lynch, we believe your world should know no boundaries.
To know no boundaries.
Of all the new cars sold in the U.S., the #1
trouble-free car was a Toyota. The number 2 a Toyota. Number 3, 4. In fact, 6 of the top 10 were Toyotas. Presenting the 1987 Toyotas. Camry, Cressida, Tercel, Corolla, Celica, Toyota Supra. With more of the quality that's made Toyotas the most trouble-free new cars sold. Who could ask for anything more?
My amigo Juan just came out from Mexico, so I'm introducing him to my American friend Larry and our favorite beer, Miller Lite.
Por favor. Juan, mi Miller Lite de gusto porque it tastes muy bueno.
Larry.
Ladies, mimosa calories and no gusto filiapo. El comprende?
No, not really.
For mucho great taste, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Does your friend speak any English?
Hi, I'm Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, usually on Saturday night, I'm hanging out with my buddies. But this week, I'll be hanging out with Run DMC on Saturday Night Live. Pretty cool, huh?
The emerald green ring that is Shea Stadium, nestled amongst the lights of Flushing in Queens, New York. And now, things are starting to build. 7th inning, 1-0 Red Sox. Well, we'll see about that. I guess one of the great cliches as you look at Roger McDowell loosening up, and you hear it so often. How many times have you seen a player who makes a great defensive play lead off the inning? Well, okay, we can take that and turn it inside out, because here's Tim Tuffle, whose error gave the Sox the run. Tuffle singled to left in the 2nd inning and struck out in the 4th. Is deep and almost on the line. That means they open up the left side of the infield for Tuffle. And the forkball. Here's that play again. He'll start to come up just a tad right there with the glove. And the ball stayed down. And that's the difference in the game. Tuffle will drag. They'll have to think about a bunt up there. 0-1. And strike 2. Now he's in a hole.
Just a perfect pitch on that outside corner.
Tuffle followed by Santana, but then Darling is due to bat 3rd. And I think that's why McDowell is heating up. Davies thinking about a hitter, especially after that collision with Henderson.
You saw Gedman move to that outside part of the plate. The way he caught that ball, didn't catch it coming up with the face of the glove, but going down.
Little roller to that hole because Boggs was on the line, and there you have it. That is one of the most debatable points in all of baseball. What should have been a routine ground ball, since Boggs was guarding the line, is a base hit.
And the thinking behind it is, give him the single, take away the extra base hit, and they gave him the single.
And now Wally Backman will run for Tuffle. Take another look.
Boggs is out of the play. He can't make it at all, and Spike Cohen is running towards the foul line. There's nothing he could do.
All right, you got one of the pests on the bases, either Dykstra or Backman, and it's Backman. So Backman running for Tuffle, then Santana and a hitter for Darling, perhaps. Darling is on deck. Santana hit back to the box and flied to center. He had a chance to pick up a run. He flied to center and left Strawberry at 2nd in the 4th inning. So we'll watch Backman, and so will Hurst. 1-0 Red Sox in the 7th. The bunt fouled away. 1-1.
Buckner has to compensate for his injury and his legs, and he was off the bag, indicating he's coming in looking for the bunt. Now talking to his pitcher Hurst, I'm sure he's setting up something to say either he's coming in or come on over there and I'll break back.
It's duly noted in the minutes of the last meeting. The first time the Mets really tried a bunt comes in the 7th inning.
Exactly what he did. I'll go in but come back if you want to keep him close.
Santana does not have much experience. Davey has had him sacrifice only once all year.
He's choked up.
And he got it down. Hurst has to go to first. Covering is Marty Barrett. And on the the sacrifice. Backman, potential tying run at second base. And coming up, Kevin Mitchell.
Buckner, the key man, he's trying to come in, but he can't be of much help. Hurst has to make the play, and Buckner ducks out of the way to give Hurst a clear shot at it.
You know, it's really heartbreaking to watch a guy playing like Buckner in the World Series on a bad leg. It's really something. But here's the kid from San Diego, Kevin Mitchell. And John McNamara going over to look at the candidates, and the first thing he'll do now is run a line through the name Mitchell. He has been used. He won't have to think about him later on as a possible right-hand pinch hitter. Mitchell was about as busy as a kid could be this year. He started at 6 different positions, and he hit first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth in the lineup. So Kevin Mitchell out of San Diego, hitting for Ron Darling.
And if you're wondering, Boggs is still guarding that line. That's the strategy that the Red Sox will use. There you see him.
Ball 1. 1-0 to Kevin. And he has a look at Buddy Harrelson. Harrelson, when he coaches at third, is more vocal coach than a visible hand or arm coach. I'll tell you more about it. Swung on and missed. And when we get to Fenway Park, it could be very, very important for Harrelson and the decisions he makes with a runner at second base. What he will do on a base hit, he will run at the bag so that the base runner will pick him up running towards the bag, and then he hollers either "you've got to go," meaning to score, or "no, no, no," and he'll hold him at third. 1-2, foul ball.
Dangerous way to coach.
Yeah, it is. I said to him, "You mean to tell me with 55,000 people screaming at Shea Stadium, you're hollering no or go?" And he said, "It's the rhythm. They know I always say you've got to go." 1-2.
He's been very successful. He's a good third base coach. He's very active, as you can see, out of that box.
1-2 to Kevin Mitchell. Backman the tying run at second, 1 out. Got him on the inside corner. And Kevin Mitchell, caught looking, becomes strikeout number 8 for Bruce Hurst, who is pitching a dandy.
Big left-hander in the jam is really coming up with the great pitches. Look at Getman slide outside and come back inside if there was any peek, and he got him. And once again, look how he holds that glove inside the strike zone. It's not that he's trying to steal a strike. What he wants is that borderline strike, and that glove is always in the strike zone. And I'll tell you another way you can watch the catchers and see how many balls they drop. This kid doesn't drop many.
Well, here now is Mookie Wilson with 2 out and the tying run at second base. Bruce Hurst, like Ron Darling, has struck out 8. Fastball on the outside corner. Calvin Schiraldi, the ex-Met, is heating up, if you can use that term tonight, in the Red Sox bullpen. 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. The difference in the game is in that error column. The Mets, who made just 1 error in the League Championship Series, make an error that has changed the game around. Hurst wants to make sure that the right side of the infield is set properly. Evidently, somebody in the bench hollering to Buckner where to play, and Marty Barrett. So they're afraid Wilson will go the other way. 1-1. 1-2. He was trying to pull that pitch, and there's no way he's going to hit it.
Impossible. It was a good pitch to the outside part of play, maybe even out of the strike zone.
1-2 the count. 2 out in the 7th. 1-0 Red Sox. And it's the beginning of the first-time World Series managers to begin to sweat. 2-2.
You took that we took that shot of McNamara in the background. You saw the blue book. That's the scouting report. There it is. And they're just constantly checking it.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out to Wilson, who is 1 for 3 tonight. Backman the tying run at second. Ground ball smothered by Boggs. On his feet, throws him out. Fine play by Wade. He was able to move and get the one that he couldn't get on Tuffle. And the tying run is left at second, and it's 1-0 Sox.
Come ride with me and I'll take you where you've never been before. Ride with me and I'll show you that there's really so much more. There's a place you'll never know. Come on down, don't miss the show. Ride with me and I'll show you America. Ride with me and I'll show you America. Discovering the beauty is where we want to be. Together we can share it all. There's so much there to see. Here's a place you'll never know. Come on now, don't miss the show. Ride with me, and I'll show you America.
On a Honda ATV, the end of the road is just the beginning.
Come ride with me.
Taking your business on the road can be a cumbersome task, and productivity can easily fall off. Presenting the IBM PC Convertible, a powerful personal computer that easily converts to a full-function portable. One you can use in a train, a plane, a car, or a meeting, and be as productive on the road as you are at the office. The IBM PC Convertible. One computer for people who really need two.
Flight 601 is going to crash tonight, and the only man who can save it just woke up.
Monday.
Here's the big play of the game so far. Boggs guarding the line, gets a good jump. Down on his knees, makes the long throw.
Now playing second base.
It's almost like Boggs is saying, well, if I'm not going to get any hits, nobody else is going to get any. He set himself, and down he goes in the webbing. That's the key play so far.
Well, Wade Boggs is going to start it off in the 8th inning against Roger McDowell, who comes into the game since Darling went out for Mitchell. And remember, Wally Backman. And let's check. There is McDowell, but Mitchell is staying in the game. Kevin is in left field. So since Wilson made the last out, it's a 2-for-1 National League switch. And John McNamara came out to John Kibler to ask about it.
Kevin Mitchell is now in left field, batting ninth. And the pitcher, Roger McDowell,
so Mitchell is in left field batting ninth. The pitcher goes in the last out spot, the leadoff role of Wilson. Roger McDowell. I can be wrong as he pitches to Wade Boggs, but I would swear that Gene Mauch, back in the early 60s, invented the 2-for-1 switch.
If I had a bet on that, bet on Gene.
Yeah. Strike one. I can never remember prior to Mauch's managerial time in Philadelphia the 2-for-1 switch, which we see every day now. 0-1 to count. Boggs hammers it right at Santana. So Wade, a bullet to short, one away, and Boggs goes 0 for 4. Roger McDowell is a youngster out of Cincinnati who set a Mets club record. He was in 75 games, and he tied with Toronto's Mark Eichhorn for the major league lead with 14 relief wins. He also had 22 saves. He is basically a sinker curveball pitcher. And here's Marty Barrett, singled, struck out, and flied to right.
When you talk about a sinker ball, you'll see it. It is a hard sinker. He'll get a lot of ground balls if he's got that good one going.
There's a sinker and a comebacker. That's another thing. If you're a sinker ball pitcher, you are so accustomed to balls being hit back at you that you have to develop over the years a very good follow-through. He was in perfect position to handle a comebacker.
You're going to get a lot of those ground balls.
Look at this follow-through.
And it's a heavy ball, too. Look at the weight. Now he's ready. Weight equally distributed. He just dances over there.
Textbook. 2 down, and Bill Buckner, who has the admiration of everybody, including the opposing players. He is hit into a double play, single to left, and struck out. 1 for 3. 1 ball, no strikes. On deck, Jim Rice, who has scored the only run of the game. There he is. 1-0. 1-1. Back in 1974, World Series, Oakland against Dodgers, Game 5. And Buckner represents a tying run at the plate. 8th inning. He hits a shot into the outfield. It gets by Billy North, backed up by Reggie Jackson, who throws to Dick Green, who throws to Sal Bando, and Buckner is nipped at third, and the Oakland A's go on to win the series. 1974, but in some respects for Buckner, it seems like yesterday. Hojo is well bundled up.
Gary Carter leaves nothing to chance. Look at him checking Buckner in the batter's box. He'll look up at him. He wants him to shake him off to confuse Buckner.
2-1. Ball 3. Someone described Buckner as having ankles like doorknobs. They're going to have surgery. Then he strained the Achilles tendon on the left leg. And he's playing. 3-1. 1-0 Red Sox. Top of the 8th. Chopper to short. It shouldn't be any contest for Santana. He just lobs it over there. So the Sox are gone in order, and at the end of 7, 1-0 Boston, and make it 7½.
I was one of the toughest drill instructors in the U.S. Marine Corps. I marched my men through mud, snow, and rain. And after I turned those cream puffs into Marines, I treated myself to the best beer in the U.S. of A. Miller Lite. Life's less filling. And this taste makes me proud to be an American. As for you guys out there who spent 10 of the toughest weeks of your lives with me, I got one thing to say. How come you don't write?
We're proud to say there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Presenting 2 great teams now playing in theaters everywhere. It's Paul Newman and Tom Cruise in a Martin Scorsese picture, The Color of Money.
We're going to have a lot of fun.
It's another hit with Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. The original tough guys are back, teaching a new world some old tricks.
Ain't changed. Best things never do.
Tough Guys rated PG and The Color of Money rated R. Now playing separately at theaters everywhere.
My family is doing beautifully. I have a portfolio. E.F. Hutton and I put my portfolio together, and I must say it's got some goodies. I'd show you pictures, but a portfolio is kind of special, you understand. Let E.F. Hutton help you put your own portfolio together. Then watch your family grow, the little ones and the big ones. E.F. Hutton, because it's my money.
Maybe you heard just a little crack is okay. Maybe you heard cocaine can't really hurt you. Well, you heard wrong. There's no home run on cocaine. You get me? Are you listening? Just a little bit of crack or cocaine can be addictive or even kill you. That's the real truth. The lie is, it's the other guy who's going to die.
Cocaine, the big lie. Call 1-800-662-HELP. Furnished by Major League Baseball in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Bottom of the 8th inning, the Boston Red Sox leading the New York Mets 1-0. Dave Stapleton has picked up for Bill Buckner at first base, and at the plate is Lenny Dykstra. And to all intents and appearances and sound, the World Series is just now beginning.
They know what this guy can do. He's the guy who kickstarts his Mets ball club.
Right. Bruce Hurst has been magnificent. He's allowed 4 hits. He has struck out 8. Darling pitched right along with him, but the error by Tuffle is the difference in the game. 1-1 to Len. Ball 2. He had Wade Boggs on the move with that fake bunt, and he brought Stapleton up. So the corners were on the move. Well, 2-1.
He's got Boggs in close to begin with. As soon as he left the bench, Boggs went in about 10 steps, as he should.
Ball 3, and now the Mets fans begin to loosen up. You have Dykstra, Hernandez, and Carter, and John McNamara begins to paw at the ground. He has Schiraldi along with Sambito now in the bullpen. That's a strike. 3-2. He had Nipper early. Then he had Crawford. Now Schiraldi and the left-hander, Joe Sambito, who used to be a Met. 3-2, the count to Lenny Dykstra. Big pitch for Bruce Hurst. 8th inning, 1-0 Boston. High fly ball into right center. Dave Henderson calling. One away, and that puts the lid on some of the enthusiasm, and it'll bring up Keith Hernandez.
Next, first baseman.
Of all the people here, I guess the fellow with the most mixed emotions would be Lou Gorman of the Boston Red Sox front office, who had so much to do with the Mets as assistant to Frank Cashin in the signing of Dykstra, Mitchell, McDowell, Aguilera. In fact, there is quite a Boston-New York connection, and it really begins with Gorman. Right.
That was Hernandez's home run swing. He's going to try to tie it up. It's a situation where you have to try to get the extra base hit.
You remember that rip he had on the ball caught by Dwight Evans back in the 3rd inning. And he goes the other way, but it's just a fly ball to Rice. So 2 down in the 8th inning. And Gary Carter coming up. Carter grounded to second, hit into a force play, broke his bat, and singled to center in the 6th inning. The Mets have had opportunities. 1st and 2nd with 2 out in the 2nd. 1st and 2nd with 2 out in the 3rd. A runner at 2nd with 1 out in the 4th. 1st and 2nd and nobody out in the 6th. The leadoff man aboard in the 7th, and yet Johnson has come up empty. 4-1. So the Mets have had their opportunities, and each time Hurst fights them away.
Got the power guys up. They're trying to hit that outside part of the plate.
And that's hit to the gap, and Henderson appeared to go back and now recovers to come in and make the play. So 3 fly balls, and Hurst walks off leading 1-0 at the end of 8.
Hard to believe it's been 10 years.
Group insurance, Adler. Lou, what is this? Employees are going to have the best. But you have no employees. You don't need Adler. You need a decent suit. That's the only trouble with you, Bud. You're afraid to dream.
My business was next door to his. I saw it all. Oh, he took risks, but he'd always take the trouble to learn who was best at something. He'd store that away, and then when he needed it, there was Aetna. They had the strength to back him up. His insurance, his financing, his health plans.
Aetna, I'm glad I met you.
Work with the best in the business. That's how Lou does it. Your people, the spirit, all of it, the best.
And one more best, my friend. Best country.
Today, for your tough headache pain, there's a superior level of pain-relieving strength. Nuprin Strength. Beyond regular strength aspirin, beyond extra strength Tylenol, now there's Nuprin Strength. This new medical study proves 2 little Nuprin give more pain relief than extra strength Tylenol. So Nuprin stops headaches better. And remember, Nuprin is gentler to your stomach than aspirin. For strength beyond extra strength Tylenol, Nuprin Strength.
Friends, just a reminder, this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Vin Scully along with Joe Garagiola here at Shea Stadium in New York as we go to the 9th inning of Game 1. And the Red Sox leading 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. The Mets, no runs, 4 hits, and 1 error. The Red Sox will have Jim Rice, who scored the only run. He walked opening up the 7th inning, advanced to second on a wild pitch, and scored on the ground ball that went between Tuffle's legs when Tim started to bring his glove up and the ball hugged the ground.
If you're wondering about Hurst, who's on the bench right now, in 8 innings, he's made 114 pitches, 78 strikes, 46 balls, and he's getting that first pitch over in pretty good shape. 19 of 31.
So 1-0 Boston in the ninth. Fastball in there for a strike. Inside corner at the knees. Roger McDowell. He faced 21 batters in the LCS. 15 of them hit ground balls. He struck out 3 more. Strike 2. That's the sinker followed by the curveball. 2 of the 3 tonight have hit ground balls that he has faced. 0-2 to Jim Rice. Grounded out, walked twice.
Is Carter checking for peekers?
If you are not keeping score and you wonder about the Mets in the ninth inning, it will be Darryl Strawberry, Ray Knight, and Wally Backman. 1-2. Just missed. 2-2. Boy, that was a tough pitch to take. Wow.
Well, sometimes when you take a pitch, you're completely fooled and you just want to look cool like I had it all the way. That does happen.
John McNamara trying to get a jump on the Mets and Davy Johnson. 2-2. Fouled away. Of course, no matter the outcome tonight, everyone, including Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach, and Davy Johnson, will have to think about that dream matchup tomorrow night. Roger Clemens versus Dwight Gooden in the Big Apple. Wow. Dwight. Two balls, 2 strikes to Jim Rice. Big bouncer off his glove by the mound, and Roger can't pick it up. So we were talking about his follow through and how he's accustomed to having balls hit back at him, and he couldn't flag that one.
That ball always appears to be coming back much harder than it is. He looks like he's in good position. He really put some extra on it. He was in good position. It just kind of goes off his glove, and as always, you're the last guy to try to figure out where the ball is, and his first grab, when he misses it, it's just too late. But he was in good position, as the replay showed. Just didn't make the play.
By the way, there are 3 official scorers for the World Series. Red Foley of the New York Daily News, Dave Nightingale of the Sporting News, and Charlie Scoggins of the Lowell, Massachusetts Sun. Dwight Evans, ball 1. That error goes right hand in hand with the run. No strikes.
Here's where Evans really becomes dangerous, because he can look for his pitch and he can handle it.
1-0 Red Sox, top of the ninth. He is a very good low ball hitter. That's what makes this confrontation so tough. You have a sinker ball pitcher and an extremely good low ball hitter. You're talking about strength against strength.
Carter makes a nice play, almost backhands it like a first baseman. That particular pitch looks like McDowell really overthrows it, because he's not usually that wild. I mean, he misses by a big margin, and Carter backhands it and makes a good play. Evans looking down at third base. He'd like to have that green light on 3 balls and no strikes. Hernandez got the green light.
He is, according to the scouting reports that I've read, Dwight Evans is considered the best 3-0 hitter on the Red Sox team. And again, remember, he's a low ball hitter against a sinker ball pitcher. Let's see. Nope, ball 4.
You give him 2-0, 3-1, and he becomes really tough. 3-0, and you can see that, hey, you're asking for trouble. Now they got a meeting. Everybody's going to go. The whole infield and McNamara.
Runners at first and second. Nobody out in the 9th inning. Davy Johnson watching like a hawk. No one throwing in the pen. It's up to McDowell, and the batter will be Rich Gedman. Now you have completely opposite that you had with Evans. Now you have basically a high ball hitter.
You'd have to be looking for a bunt. Knight is in, backing off.
Hernandez is behind the runner and backing some more. So Gedman does bunt. There's a play at third, and there it is, a force play. McDowell to Knight, 1-5, erasing Rice.
I just wonder if Gedman was able to pick up Hernandez way back. You'd be looking for the bunt. Knight was at third base, but as you pointed out, Vin, Hernandez back. Now, look at Hernandez going back. A lot of room. Starts in and down he goes because he's caught completely by surprise, but Gedman's bunts right back to the pitcher, McDowell. Easy play at third base.
If Gedman bunts the ball the other way towards first, that's right, the bases are loaded.
He could have had a base hit if he'd had his shin guards on.
So with one out, runners at first and second, 9th inning, 1-0 Red Sox. Here's Henderson, fly to center, single to center, fly to right. And he and Ron Darling were in that strange collision behind the plate. You have Gedman at first and Evans at second, 1 out in the 9th. Off the corner, ball 2, 2-0.
This is rare for McDowell. He doesn't do this, get behind the hitters like that, because you get behind like that, you have to really come in, and sometimes to come in, they take a little bit off, and that's big trouble.
You know, it might also be now, after about the 4th or 5th inning, the players are beginning to realize they're in the World Series. Maybe all of that LCS excitement has finally gone away, and now the realization, this is the end. He's high again, ball 3. The Sox have had runners in scoring position tonight, 3 of them on walks, and a walk has set up some trouble tonight.
Henderson keeps looking at Latchman. He won't even look at him. Henderson wants to hit 3-0. You would tend to doubt that.
That's in there. The crowd, at least for the moment here in the 9th inning, sitting very quiet, which is not the rule here at Shea normally. We'll see about the bottom of the 9th when the Mets come up. But 55,076. Ground foul. 3-2. Henderson trying to give Bruce Hurst a little cushion, trying somehow to give him an additional run to lean on in the bottom of the 9th.
With one man out, McNamara's got a decision. Do you start your base runners? And the strikeout, throw them out, and you're out of the inning. Ground ball, you're out of the inning. So Johnny Mac's got to make a big decision here.
And Spike Owen on deck.
I would say they're going.
Runners leading, runners hold. Ground ball to the hole. Base hit into left field. Evans to third. Mitchell's throw is there. He is out at the plate.
If he's running on that play, he makes it. But it was a decision Johnny Mac had to make. He decided to hold. Now the ball is a base hit between Knight and his shortstop. And Mitchell all the way on the fly. Watch Carter. He's got plenty of time, and he forces Evans to slide to the inside. And Evans never does get to the home plate. He forced him way in. And Evans really turns out to be an easy out. A matter of a couple steps. Starting the runner, yes. Didn't start him, no.
Evans out at the plate. However, Gedman took the extra base and went to third. Henderson took the extra base and went to second. They are now going to walk Spike Owen. And Johnny Mac has another decision coming up. Do I hit for Bruce Hurst and come in with Schiraldi? Here's another look.
Look at Carter force Evans to the inside, and he never gets to the plate. He just kept forcing him out. Good tag by Carter.
So Spike Owen, hitting 8th in the lineup, will receive his second intentional walk. And Bruce Hurst looks at the dugout and starts to take his windbreaker off as Evans goes to the pits for repairs. And it is still 1-0 Boston. And in a moment, Bruce Hurst is still looking for a decision, and they're calling him away. They're going for a hitter. The hitter will be Mike Greenwell, who was the only left-hand hitter on the bench available to McNamara. And John rolls the dice, trying to get a run or two. He will lift Hurst and then give the ball to Schiraldi. What a job turned in by Bruce. He went 8 innings, allowed no runs, 4 hits, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts. But of course, if it wasn't for the error by Tuffle, Ron Darling would be even with him.
Of course, Schiraldi, the big man, and it's been often said, pitching will make a good manager. A good bullpen will make a great manager. And Johnny McNamara is depending on Schiraldi, who's just finished his warm-ups, and he's ready to come in.
Down in the Mets bullpen, Jesse Orozco is throwing back of McDowell. So in the inning, the Sox have had 2 singles and 2 walks and have failed to score. The bases are loaded with 2 out. And here is Mike Greenwell trying to get them well off. And he lifts a fly ball to right center. Dykstra is calling that he has it. And the Mets dodge a bullet in the 9th. And at the end of 8.5 innings, as Bruce Hurst calls it a night, Shea Stadium wakes up. It is 1-0 Boston.
Those who have waited and waited can now see the light. For Toyota introduces a car close to perfection. The all-new 1987 Toyota Camry. Camry gets more power to pass from a new 16-valve fuel-efficient engine, a quiet, more comfortable cabin for 5, and more of the Toyota quality that has made Camry the most trouble-free new car, domestic or import, sold in America.
Who could ask for anything more? Toyota.
This guy thinks he makes a better Bob Euchre than I do. Bingo! See, you can't imitate the old Uke just like you can't imitate Miller Lite. Oh, these fans, I love them. Hey, Lite is still the only leading beer with 1/3 less calories than the regular beer and a great taste, too.
Let's go, fella.
Oh, I must be in the front row. Imitations don't make it.
You can't copy an original. There's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
You ever see my John Wayne?
It's getting dark. You and Timmy better be heading home.
Dad, what are you worried about?
You don't want to be out at night with your old car.
The car may be old, but it's got Michelin's.
Michelin radials? That's a lot of money for a tire.
Dad, the way I see it, at 10 p.m. on a lonely road, it's a lot of tire for the money.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
It has been a long time here at Shea to see the Mets shut out. And the Red Sox are 3 outs away from doing it in Game 1 of the World Series. The Mets, thoroughly stifled by Astro pitching, got away with it as they were, in a word, scot-free for the final game. Now they get the battle cry, wake up. They're going to have to wake up against a former Met, Calvin Schiraldi. Out of Houston, Texas. He was a teammate of Roger Clemens and Spike Owen at the University of Texas. He has a great fastball, an excellent control, a good forkball. In the words of Don Baylor, Calvin Schiraldi could be the next Goose Gossage. Well, we'll see. And now they're alive and awake at Shea.
Time is called. There's something on the field down in right field, a beach ball.
Darryl Strawberry struck out in the 2nd inning, walked and stole a base in the 4th, and struck out in the 6th. You might remember he hit a home run to break up Nolan Ryan's shutout in Game 5.
The pitch that seemed to confuse Strawberry in the LCS was the low curveball, low inside, but Schiraldi, outstanding fastball, and here he comes.
0-1. If you wonder who pitched the last shutout at Shea, September 11, 1985, a former Red Sox, John Tudor. Ball 2. Calvin Schiraldi trying to save it for Bruce Hurst. Ball 3. All fastballs. Fasten your seatbelts now. 3-0 to Strawberry. Strike. Outside corner. Good pitch. 3-1. By the way, Strawberry can hit the outside pitch the other way, a long way, as Davey knows. Ball 4, and the tying run is aboard again. The leadoff batter has gotten on base 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 5 innings, and they've been unable to get him home. And now the batter is Ray Knight. Knight walked in the 2nd inning, popped up in the 4th, and hit into a double play, a big one in the 6th. And Bruce Hurst hoping that his 1-run lead will hold up.
Knight is now talking to Harrelson. He's not sure of the signs that Harrelson was flashing. Knight a double play man. Johnson has played for the 1 run to tie it up, and you just cannot assume that he will not be bunting. It's just Johnson doesn't play according to that famous book we all hear about.
Ray Knight 0 for 2. Bunting, and down to get it is Stapleton. Throws, got him.
What a gutsy play by Stapleton, because his first grab was not a true grab. And you see Knight at first base kneeling. Stapleton grabbed the ball, couldn't get it out of his glove. Now watch what happens here. Knight bunts it where he should, first base, right-handed thrower, Stapleton. He can't get it out of the glove. He double pumps it and still guns it in time.
If you'd like a footnote to chew on here in the 9th inning, the last time the Boston Red Sox won a World Series, they won the opening game against the Chicago Cubs in 1918. They won that opening game 1-0. The pitcher was Babe Ruth. Ball 1 to Wally Backman. Remember, Backman ran for Tuffle in the 7th inning. Knight at first, 1 out in the 9th, 1-0 Boston. Danny Heap is out on deck to bat for Santana. The only run in the game, a 1-out error by Tim Tuffle on a ground ball hit by Gedman that allowed Jim Rice to score from second. And Hurst is hoping that's enough. Fouled away.
Boy, on such little things the big games hinge. A decision whether to run Evans off second base or not. Johnny Mack decided not, got him thrown out at the plate. He puts Stapleton into first base, and he gets the big force out at second base.
Off speed, ball 2. Well, what an emotional roller coaster Calvin Schiraldi has been on, as you see the on-deck hitter Danny Heap poised to bat for Santana. Will you ever forget the picture of Calvin Schiraldi with his face buried in a towel in Anaheim? 2-2. Ball 3 on a borderline pitch. He'll check at third, and he just did hold up.
That's the one he wanted right there. Backman, he put the brakes on in time.
Knight at first, 1 out. Stapleton holding the bag. McNamara dying a little bit, and Johnson just staring and hoping. 3-2 with 1 out. Knight goes, and it's a little fly ball to shallow left. Rice coming up and makes the catch, and Knight gets back to first. So Backman, a little fly ball to left field. 2 down, and Danny Heap will bat for Rafael Santana.
Schiraldi got that pitch in a great spot. He really tied Backman up to where Backman, trying to go to the opposite field, lifts it to Jim Rice. Big pitch. Now Gedman wants to talk to his pitcher, and I'm sure they're going over how to pitch the Heap. Stapleton now wants to see what's happening.
It's only right that Danny Heap should come in this game. Remember, the Mets were shut out 1-0 in Game 1 of the League Championship Series. The man who shut out the Mets 1-0 was Mike Scott, who was traded by the Mets to Houston for Danny Heap. Knight at first, held on by Stapleton. Right. 0-1 to Heap. Danny is basically a low ball hitter. 1-1.
It's strength against strength. Fastball hitter against fastball pitcher. But if you're out in a spot like this, you don't want to go with finesse. You do what Schiraldi's doing. Pump.
1-1. In there. And the Mets are down to their last strike. The Red Sox know about that. Hurst with his hands folded, almost in prayer. Bill Buckner sitting next to him. 1-0 Boston, 2 out, bottom of the ninth. Knight at first. 2-2.
Schiraldi looking over his shoulder, just making sure that Knight is there, and it's also part of his pitching rhythm.
The difference between the two teams, an unearned run. Got him, and the Red Sox have beaten the Mets in Game 1, 1-0. A symbolic 1-0 victory when you go back to Ruth in 1918. There haven't been that many 1-0 games in the World Series openers, and this gem will go with all of the others. You start with Ruth, and you wind up with Hurst and Schiraldi, as Johnson and the Mets wind up with nothing. 1 run, 5 hits, and no errors for Boston. No runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for the Mets, as Hurst gets his win. And tomorrow night, as Seaver can congratulate Hurst, we get Gooden and Clemens.
Hurst didn't need that much help. He needed a defensive play from Boggs. He got it, and they got a defensive play from Stapleton at first base on that bunt. And outside of that, it was all Bruce Hurst. He really pitched himself a tremendous ball game.
And here was the difference between Bruce Hurst and Ron Darling, the difference between winning and losing, and the difference between a good night's sleep and a nightmare for Tim Tuffle. There it is.
And
plus this.
This is a good play, because one had gotten by him, but Boggs one knee. And Stapleton at first base, the bunt by Knight. It's in the proper spot, right-handed thrower. Stapleton reaches in, can't get it out, and then finally gets it out and really puts something on that throw. And in time, big play.
So it's a 1-0 Red Sox win with Gooden and Clemens tomorrow night. And Game 1 is history. We'll be right back.
Even today, there are still places in Europe so isolated, hardly anyone ever goes there. But UPS does. With scheduled delivery to every address in every European country it serves, at prices other air delivery companies might find a little scary. UPS, we run the tightest ship in the shipping business.
79 Cadillac Fleetwood, 83 Buick Riviera.
Mr. Goodwrench has the parts.
Pontiac Fiero GT.
Parts for virtually every GM car on the road today.
Olds Cutlass Cruiser.
Genuine GM parts, the kind GM cars were designed to use.
GMC Jimmy 4x4.
So if your GM car is worth taking care of.
69 Z28 Camaro.
Take it to Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better. No one.
The The totals on Game 1 for the winning Boston Red Sox: 1 run, 5 hits, and no errors. For the New York Mets, no runs, 4 hits, and 1 very important error. The winning pitcher, Bruce Hurst, who's the MVP. The losing pitcher, Ron Darling. Marv, are you in position? Let's go to Marv Albert.
All right, thank you, Vince. And this is standard equipment on the Boston bench, a hot water bottle, which I know that Bruce Hurst utilized from time to time. A very tough, cold night to pitch, but you were very sharp. Didn't seem to have any problems.
Well, thank you. It was cold tonight. It wasn't so much the cold, but the wind at your back. It just made it hard to get a real grip on the ball. It seems like I could blow on my hands, but I just couldn't get that moisture on my fingers. It gives you a little better control of the ball, and it was just a little tough tonight that way.
Couple of big plays. Stapleton making the play in the 9th, and Wade Boggs in the 7th came up with the play of the game.
Yeah, it was a huge play by Wade. They had him protecting the line late in the game like that in a 1-run ball game, and the first play was probably a routine out if he wasn't guarding the line, and then Mookie Wilson hit a breaking ball and hit it pretty good, and Wade made a great play on it to get that out. That was a big out.
But all those appearances at the plate for Bruce Hurst, 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts, a rare appearance at the plate. You had mentioned to me earlier you were 0 for 10 seasons as a batter.
I'm ready to make it 0 for 11 right now. The umpire and Gary Carter were howling behind the plate. It was kind of tough to concentrate with the umpire laughing behind the plate.
Oh, supplying a little laugh track for you.
I told them I was serious the last time up, and they started to laugh even harder. But, it's really difficult when you don't bat for a long time. The guys throw a lot harder than you think they do, and I have a lot of respect for hitters.
All right, Bruce's last hit happened to be in Double-A ball. Bruce, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mark.
All right, let's get back to the booth.
And despite the fact that Bruce Hurst struck out 3 times and went 0 for 3, tonight's NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game is Bruce Hurst. Miller Lite is happy to present a check for $1,000 to the big guy from St. George, Utah, to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and to Bruce's brother. He sure didn't shame the family.
Well, these trivia questions are tough. Okay, Boom Boom. What did Al Capone say when surrounded by the FBI?
Back it off.
He's right. I don't believe it. Name the English band that performed the first rock opera. Ooh, he's right again. Amazing. All right. What beer tastes so good it's the 2nd largest selling beer in America?
Miller Lite. Coming right up.
You won the game. This game is easy.
No question about it. There's only one light beer. Miller Lite.
To know no boundaries, to let yourself run free. To know no boundaries is what the world should be.
Wherever there are investment opportunities, Merrill Lynch is there with the help you need to make the most of them. Because at Merrill Lynch, we believe your world should know no boundaries.
To know no boundaries.
Tonight's game has been brought to you by Miller Lite. For great taste, there's only one light beer. By Merrill Lynch, your world should know no boundaries. By your Toyota dealer in the all-new Camry sedan and wagon. Who could ask for anything more? And by Aetna, the insurance people. Work with the best in the business. For historians, the last 1-0 World Series game, Game 3 in 1972, Cincinnati's Jack Billingham over John Odom. That was 83 World Series games ago.
And as we watch those Red Sox, Ben, they got their big guy, the horse of the pitching staff. Clemens going against Gooden, so these Red Sox will sweep well.
And New York faced with reality. There was a lot of talk of the fact they could even sweep the Sox, and that, of course, has been taken out tonight. Tomorrow, World Series Game 2, 8 p.m. Eastern Time here at Shea Stadium. Stay tuned. Local news for Saturday Night Live, except on the West Coast and most Mountain Time Zone stations, it'll be seen at its regular time. 1-0 Boston. For Joe Garagiola, Vin Scully wishing you a pleasant good evening.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines, serving 13 cities in Asia and the Pacific. United, a fresh breeze across the Pacific.
This has been a presentation of NBC Sports, proud to be the network of the 1980.